on right now with this coronavirus thing is that there's so many ideologies at work and there's no central hub of information because we don't like the only thing that we agree upon is empiricism, like in a like we deduce from the empirical and then see if it's replicatable and then make decisions based on that. But in a country that believes, on one hand, there's people that believe that you could be protected from corona from Jesus's being bathed in Jesus's blood, metaphorically, and it won't affect me because I believe this, or it won't affect me because I wear this specific mask, or I have this technology. There's no consensus. We have no mechanism for that. And what that's normally driven by is leadership, or at least the illusion of leadership. Somebody to stand up and expound Plato's noble lie about it in a way that is, extemporaneously accepted and intellectual. But we have somebody who said a varying degree of this is a hoax and all this stuff. So I'm sorry to go off on a tangent there, but I really do think it relates as a whole as to like why we're in the situation we're in. Whether or not it comes from a place of degeneracy or like that things can be regenerated. I think these are often like religious and Neoplatonic ideas that win out by being the most popular.
Is it fair to because Danny kind of laid it out as looking at the actual plights in society that the Fabians were responding to and then comparing that to like how a lot of their goals and actions took shape. So to say that there was this, like I said, more pure than internet influence campaigns of the last 15 years, where you basically just have an operation to hijack the space between stimulus and response for people and occupy it. So you're actually trying to produce automatons instead of, and obviously this would be more akin to things that you see like everybody in Cuba learns how to read or everybody in North Korea gets a TV. It's not so you can think. Right? It's not about thinking, right? It's just that you can have the minimal level of literacy to be malleable and controllable. But there did seem to be something compared to that was more pure in the original intentions there. Maybe it was a part of Dewey, like you look at all the work Dewey did in education, but then it kind of contrasts to like, his support of World War I going like, shit, that's maybe a way to speed some of my stuff up. This gets everybody on the same page for sure. So, obviously somebody's ideas and viewpoints are going to change over, John Dewey, we're talking 60 years of, public intellectual activity. I thought that was interesting, but in practical terms, they would become more collectivist, even if like the upgraded individual was a starting point. That idea kind of gets worn down by reality pretty fast, I bet.
Yes.
Hey, thank you for taking the time to listen to this preview. There is 1 hour and 15 minutes remaining.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
He is paralyzed from the waist down. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The attorney for the family of Jacob Blake, the black man shot by police officers in Kenosha, Wisconsin, says it will take a miracle for him to walk again. The family held an emotional press conference a short time ago.
Shot my son 7 times. 7 times. Like he didn't matter. But my son matters.
His father, Jacob Blake Sr., the family is calling for the police department to take swift action in the case, and they say they will file a civil lawsuit to hold what they called wrongdoers accountable and to help him have the resources he will need for medical care. The shooting has touched off days of protest, prompting the governor to call in the National Guard. More than 500,000 people ordered to leave the Gulf Coast as Laura threatens a direct hit to Texas and Louisiana as a major hurricane.
The mandatory evacuations have been issued in Jasper County, Jefferson County, Newton County, Orange County, the city of Galveston, and the city of Port Arthur.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott. In Louisiana, people were ordered to leave low-lying southwestern parts of the state. Forecasters say as much as 13 feet of storm surge topped by waves could send whole communities underwater. Night 2 of the Republican National Convention tonight with First Lady Melania Trump headlining. Her Chief of Staff, Stephanie Grisham, says the First Lady's message will be positive and uplifting.
She wants to look forward. She wants to talk about what she as First Lady plans to do when the president wins another 4 years. But she
also wants to lay out for the American people why it's so important that the president become reelected.
On Fox's The Daily Briefing with Dana Perino, Wall Street, the Dow lost 60 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Concern growing over what a payroll tax cut that's supported by President Trump could do to Social Security.
The chief actuary of the Social Security Administration, Stephen Goss, says if legislation is passed to end the payroll tax, the result could be Social Security payments running dry by mid-2023. The president recently announced that the federal government would defer payroll tax collection until September 1st, and he said if he is reelected, he will make those cuts permanent. Goss's prediction came in response to an inquiry by 4 Democratic senators, Chris Van Hollen, Bernie Sanders, Ron Wyden, and Chuck Schumer, who asked what would happen if the cuts were permanent. Goss says for Americans with disabilities, it's worse. Funding for those monthly payments would be emptied first and end by mid-2021. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
American Airlines slashing more than 40,000 jobs, including 19,000 through furloughs and layoffs in October as it continues to struggle with a sharp downturn in travel due to the pandemic. The airline saying the furloughs can only be avoided if the federal government gives airlines another $25 billion to help them cover labor costs for the next 6 months. The airline says 23,500 employees have accepted buyouts, retired early, or taken long-term leaves of absence, but it's not enough to avoid cuts. Flight attendants will be hit the hardest, with 8,100 being terminated in October. The moratorium on evictions and foreclosures in Pennsylvania is set to expire at the end of the month. Governor Tom Wolf says the state's emergency services code prevents him from extending it. He's calling on state lawmakers to extend that moratorium.
We're going to have to figure out some way of helping the folks who are most in need. And I think what I'm proposing here and funding $200 and some million would actually do a lot to help those folks.
Housing advocates have warned of a wave of evictions once the moratorium's lifted. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Last month, the FDA approved Hallucex, a new class of weight loss drug that helps users avoid overeating by producing nightmarish hallucinations whenever food is around. Hallucex targets the brain's cerebral cortex, stimulating the centers responsible for fear and visual processing. Test subjects reported an unprecedented decrease in appetite and showed dramatic weight loss, with only 18% reporting night terrors or subsequent cardiac arrest.
It's designed to make fatty and sugary foods even scarier. An apple just looks like it has fangs, but a milkshake will threaten you and your family by name.
Earlier incarnations of the drug proved to be too powerful and produced mental states in which test subjects no longer believed that food had ever existed. An unshakable belief that the subject had to eat all of the food on the planet in order to prevent food from rising up and destroying the human race.
No, you don't understand. I have to do this.
Or the conviction that food could be negotiated with diplomatically. With the Lab Report, I'm Aisha Patel.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And Conan, have you heard of this story about this 4-year-old who was strip searched by police officers?
I have not. This is the first time that it's come up. And I'm not surprised if it turns out to be true.
Well, it's absolutely true. I mean, it happened.
What was it, over drugs?
No, it's way more stupid than that.
Is it like the mother had the kid in the back seat and the cop was like, you planted some drugs on that kid, you hid it in its diaper, didn't you?
No, drugs were completely and totally unrelated.
Weapons?
No. I mean, we can get into the article.
What the hell else would they be looking for?
It's a complete
Cash?
mess.
Like, what else are cops looking for on the side of the road? Drugs? Weapons? Cash?
Well, they didn't strip search them on the side of the road.
Oh, was this in school? No, 4's too young for a government school, right?
No, this was in their home.
Oh.
It gets really messy. So let's get into it. Coming to us from Reason. Good news, parents, if you let your kids wait in the car for less than 10 minutes on a cool day, doors locked and fan on, a caseworker and sheriff are actually not allowed to come to your home, threaten to take your children away, and strip search your kids.
Oh, no.
Because that's what happened here. These very basic rights were just vindicated the hard way by a Kentucky mom in federal court.
Oh, so they won.
Yes. Holly Curry sued the cop and the caseworker, insisting that the day she was investigated for child abuse, the two authorities so overstepped their bounds that they should not be afforded qualified immunity. In other words, their behavior was so egregious they had to take responsibility for it.
Wow.
And the judge agreed. They say we may recall the case, but I don't recall it. But back in March of 2017, she was driving her kids to karate when she stopped to get them some muffins. She was in the cafe for just a few minutes, and when she came out, two cops rebuked her for leaving the kids in the car.
Yep.
Now, how come the kids didn't use their karate moves on these cops? Come on.
Well,
what's all this training about?
Because they're heroes, Ian.
Oh, no.
You don't karate chop your hero.
You're supposed to karate chop the person who's like touching you in places they're not supposed to touch you.
I don't think they're touching them yet.
No, not yet. In Kentucky, it's a crime to leave children under the age of 8 in a car under circumstances that, quote, manifest an extreme indifference to human life and create a grave risk of death.
Right. So, like, if they were in a car on a hot day with no air conditioning on whatsoever and the windows are completely up, then someone could argue that might be a really dangerous circumstance. But you're saying the AC was on.
Yes. So the cops didn't even make that claim. The kids all looked fine, and the officers left without charging her with a crime. Nevertheless, they felt obligated to call the state's child protection hotline, thus opening a neglect investigation.
Making matters worse for the lady, because it's bad enough when the police show up to harass you about something. In this case, they showed up, checked out the scene, and left. That would have been... she could not have even been aware of that happening, right? Like if she was in the store and they showed up and then they left before she got back, no big deal. But then they call CPS or whatever they're called there, and that's going to make things much worse because those bureaucrats...
it got much, much worse. Yeah. So when the case worker arrived at her home, Holly refused to let her in without a warrant.
Wow.
Yeah, good on her.
Good move.
The worker returned with a sheriff's deputy, but still no warrant.
That probably works on most people.
I'm sure it does.
Get a man with a gun to show up.
Yeah.
Try to intimidate your way inside.
I'm sorry, where was this again?
Kentucky.
Kentucky, okay.
When Holly insisted that they still couldn't enter, remember, because they didn't have a warrant,
right.
They threatened to, quote, come back and put your kids into foster care.
Mm-hmm.
Holly begged for time to call her husband. They refused. Finally, crying and terrified, she let them in.
Damn it. She was doing so good, too.
Well, I mean, they threatened to come back and put her kids into foster care. I mean, I don't blame her for caving. Labeling that decision, quote, voluntary consent, the authorities entered the home. Unsurprisingly, the house and kids all looked fine. Even so, the caseworker insisted on strip searching each kid, removing their underwear, and examining their genitals for signs of abuse.
Oh, my God. So it wasn't actually the doing of the police technically. They didn't decide to strip search. They were just the tools.
Oh, they were just following orders.
Yeah, they were the human tools that did the dirty work for this caseworker.
And you know what? I don't think this is the first time. In fact, it isn't the first time. If they didn't even question this, you know that they've been in other situations just like that, where the first thing they do is, all right, let's check to see the kids have been beat on. And then, they're just following the Child Protective Services orders.
Looking for signs of abuse. That was the abuse.
Yes, that was definitely abuse.
If the kids weren't abused before, they definitely were on that day.
Yeah, well, maybe going to Disneyland for 100 times off of that settlement that is going to improve upon their...
Did they get a settlement?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
A few months later, the caseworker closed the investigation as unsubstantiated, saying that what Holly had done was a one-time, quote, oopsie daisy. But she telephoned Curry later and said, if we ever get a call against your family again, bad things will happen to you and we'll take your children.
Wow.
At that point, Curry had had enough. She turned around and filed suit against the caseworker and cop, claiming violation of her constitutional rights. In turn, they pressed hard for immunity.
Right.
But in a powerful ruling on August the 19th, about a week ago, in Curry versus Connecticut Cabinet for Health and Human Services, Judge Justin Walker said that it was clear the government used an improper threat to enter the home, lacked any evidence that might have justified a strip search, and violated the children's rights to bodily integrity.
Good.
According to the judge, Act 1, an attentive and loving mother gets muffins for her children. Act 2, there's a knock on her door and a threat by the government to take away her children. Act 3, her children are strip searched without cause. America's founding generation may never have imagined a cabinet for health and family services, but they knew their fair share of unwelcome constables. And they added a Fourth Amendment to our Constitution to protect against this 3-act tragedy.
That's the actual excerpt from the judge's order, it
Yes.
sounds like. Wow.
Yeah, that was the judge himself.
Who hired this guy? Because he seems to be decent.
Who hired
Surprising,
the judge?
Yeah.
I assume he was elected.
Was this a federal judge, did you say? She
Yes.
sued in federal court? Okay. Wow.
To enter a home without consent and examine stripped kids requires a warrant, genuine suspicion of abuse, or an actual emergency. Who would have thought? Apparently not the authorities in Kentucky, who have been defending the warrantless entry and strip ever since the Currys filed their lawsuit in 2018.
Oh, of course they have.
Assuming the
Well, they
decision...
can't just admit that they did something wrong.
Yeah, this is absolutely...
Like a human might.
You would expect, even with a warrant, that caseworkers wouldn't be able to enter and strip search your children, right? That's what I would expect.
If the warrant specified they were looking for signs of abuse and the judge authorized it, then I suspect they would.
It seems like something they should take to a doctor.
You would think.
Yeah. Instead of a random caseworker. But hey, what do I know?
Like I said, I think this has happened before. I think there are probably many, many stories out there, and people just haven't spoke up because
this lady was the first one to actually do something.
Exactly. I do believe this is what has happened.
How many other children has this particular caseworker gone through this process with?
I know that when I ran through my little situation with these folks, with these people, they went and took my daughter into the bedroom. But I was able to monitor the whole situation because I was able to look down the hallway and see everything that was going on. But if the house was twisty or there was doors and whatnot, there's a chance that she would have been taken out of my view, and I was held in the living room with the officer. And but in my case, I was able to watch the entire event take place. And they went and they questioned her and asked her if she had been, if she was abused in any way. I can hear the whole conversation. And like I said, I'm reading the chat, and the chat is talking about having children in this time and place.
This day and age, yeah.
This day and age,
terrible.
This is something that can be held over your head, and if you don't follow, their like the lady, why did she even let him in the house?
Scared.
Because they threatened the hell out of her, and then she caved. And I was in the same situation. I dealt with these fools for a whole year.
Well, this gets even worse.
Even though everyone that I dealt with came in, they would talk to me and be like, "Yeah, I don't even know why I'm here." I mean, I have parents who actually beat their kids, and here I am at your house for a whole hour every week, and I don't even know. I don't know what's going on here.
Evidently, the investigator in the case testified that they automatically strip search every child when they go into a home.
Yeah, I told you,
automatically.
Well, in my case,
probably thousands.
Which was 20 years
children.
ago. Which was 20 years ago. That didn't happen.
What do you think?
I guess
Is it
changed.
okay for caseworkers to just molest children? Because let's be clear, that's what this was. 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And I want to say thank you to RC, who is tonight's amplifier. This means he's a member of the AMP program. You can find out more about it at amp.freetalklive.com. It's a contribution program that we use strictly to advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live. And it comes with a number of cool little perks like an AMP-only call-in line, an AMP-only group on Facebook, and some other neat little things like that. So check it out. Again, that's amp.freetalklive.com. And RC, we want to say thank you. So this COVID-19 crap, it's Sununu saying we're going to have to deal with this.
That's the governor.
Yes, that's His Excellency, King Sununu, is saying that we're going to have to spend 5 more months dealing with this. But restaurants in Jersey and gyms in Jersey are resisting, which is surprising.
A gym.
Yeah.
And a restaurant.
They've been arrested and they've lost their license, and now they've turned it into, if I understand correctly, the way they've gotten around it is
the gym.
The gym has made it into a Trump rally or a political rally.
Right.
which is
it's a headquarters, a political headquarters for a U.S. Senate candidate, I believe. They're in Jersey.
They're all set out in the parking. They got all the gym equipment out in the parking lot, and they've got lots of support. And people with, they come with their banners and whatnot.
Dude, that is epic.
Get their workout, and then they leave with their banners. And
there's some rule in New Jersey, I guess, that the police or something can't mess with the government or something, can't mess with a campaign headquarters. Or I've not looked deeply into this, but that's the supposed reason for this move.
That's clever. Yeah. I hope it works out.
And it is clever, but it's still too bad that they just can't be open. And everyone who goes there, by the way, who are actually going to work on their bodies, and get some sunlight out there in the parking lot, are being prevented from doing so. Dude, at their own risk. It's at their own risk, but it's
the government says you're not allowed to take your own risk anymore.
No, because
except you can drive everywhere still, which is incredibly dangerous.
Correct. I mean, you're more likely. Well, you're not more likely, but you're just as likely to probably die in a car accident on the way to the stupid testing facility, as you are to die from this nonsense.
If not more so.
Well, I think I did look at the stats, and
is that right?
It is a little bit less. Yes.
Okay, still, you could get it. You're talking about dying in a car accident. Probably a greater chance that you'll get into a car
absolutely.
accident.
Oh, no,
right?
Yes, absolutely. You'll be hurt, maimed. Your vehicle will be busted up. But yes, less chance of dying, but it's still a chance. And yet people are losing their damn minds. I'm trying to figure out. There's this orchestra out there who are all playing, going to town.
Oh my God!
And they've got they're all fully masked. And they have mouth slits so that they can play their instruments.
Unbelievable.
I can't even figure out this is real. I've been Googling it, trying to figure out who these people are because
I was wondering if it was real as well, but it sure looks real.
This is peak lunacy. I mean, what?
Dude, the
what
lunacy
the hell?
hasn't even started to peak yet.
Really?
Buckle up, man.
Well, I mean, it's getting worse. It really is getting worse.
Yes, it is.
I did go driving out into the woods. It doesn't take much driving around here, and before you know it, you're out in the forest, looking for organizations that didn't have the mask rule in place. And I did find one grocery store in a neighboring town, and that someone told me about. I walked in there, and 2 masks, the whole store, 2 masks. None of the employees had them. The manager was sitting there; he didn't have them. Every customer who walked in there, no mask, and I was like, man. It's like I've just walked back into 2019.
The people,
they're not required.
This is beautiful.
They're not required in like Swansea, right?
But this is a grocery store. These are the
it's
first.
It's a local one though.
These are the first people. These are the first people who buckled under these mask ordinances.
It's not a chain though. It's the corporations that are going along with this. It's the corporations, the big companies out there, the mega corporations who have completely signed on with whatever the government says, or worse, and they are completely signaling to people that hey, safety's important. We think you should be safe. Come on over here to Kroger or wherever. And this you see it everywhere. I mean, there's so much out there about be safe, safety first.
Dude, and it's even worse for people who watch television.
Yes.
I mean, the commercials, all
over.
The Nike commercials, the car commercials, all of them.
Masked people in the commercials. And I don't even...
Really?
The only time I see TV is when I'm at the Thirsty Owl Bar here, right? So that's when I get to see this stuff. And it's like, oh my God, one ad after the next. And then...
Can you imagine how twisted the people who watch this crap regularly must be? It's no wonder they're freaking terrified.
Even in the
terrified. They're twisted as in they have been mentally terrorized.
Yes, twisted.
By all of this that's been inundated on them. I mean... So the clothing magazines that I deliver, front page, they got the fancy schmancy masks on the front page that you can order next to the bathing suits.
Get your custom masks. Safety first. It's so frustrating because safety is not living. Safety is, okay, it's not. You don't want to run out in front of a car, right? So like there's being sensible, and then there's obsession with safety. And this society, and apparently most of the rest of the world, has moved into a total obsession with safety. But it's had generations leading up to it, right? For decades.
It's cumulative. It builds and builds.
The helicopter moms have been overprotecting people, make sure to round off all the corners so little Johnny won't bump his knee on anything as he's running around playing.
And here's where it really boils down to is that these generations that we're dealing with haven't ever really had hard lives.
That's right.
They've never really gotten out there, got their fingers dirty, and so what are they? They're afraid of dying. Everything around every corner is death.
Yep.
And
government.
Now, 50 years ago, the guys that are, our age, probably got into a scuffle with a bull, or they were working on a skyscraper, hanging by, just sitting up there eating. You've seen the pictures of the guys not roped in, sitting on the beams, just eating sandwiches. Yep. It's like, I just thinking about it, makes my heart flutter. And yet our generations and the boomers before us, nothing, no hardship whatsoever. And so it only makes sense that something so insignificant as this silly little 0.04% death rate has everyone shaking in their boots, ready to do what? Wear masks forever? When does it end?
I don't know. I
don't know, but now we're going to see it every flu season.
Which is
it hasn't even ended.
I know,
it's going to go away.
It never ended, and it's going to be starting in the next couple weeks, month.
It's so frustrating to see this happening, and it's like we're doing what we can, but it's overwhelming. And now we're losing. The real question is how many people out there are just going along to get along. How many of these masked people actually hate the fact that they're wearing these masks? Because there's a lot of people you can see them just throw the mask on to go into the store, and then they
wad
take
it up. They bought the nasty, ganky mask, and they put it in their pocket as soon as they leave.
Right. So there's some
number. It's their germs.
Well, except now it's all over their hands. They just touch the doorknob to get out of the building.
Because it's just for show, okay?
Oh,
And so how many of them are just putting on a show so they don't get bothered? They're afraid that they're going to get hassled. They're afraid somebody else is going to give them a hard time, whether it be the store staff or some busybody who happens to be around. And so they just don't want to deal with it, so they put on the mask, and ultimately they contribute to the problem by doing that. Because if there's a significant number of those people out there and they just stopped wearing it, it would change the optics completely.
And when the vaccine comes, everyone is going to be all over it just so they could go back to normal.
They want to go back to work.
They want to go back, and they're going to take the stamp as well. They're going to take the trust stamp.
Well,
just so they can live a normal life once again.
Don't the studies show that like 70% of Americans are in favor of a national mask mandate or some kind of nonsense like that?
What do polls mean anyway?
Yeah,
It wouldn't surprise me if that were true.
What do you think? Do you secretly hate wearing a mask yet do it anyway? Give us a call and let us know.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org. Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. That number's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And let's go straight to the phones. We've got Steve calling from Arkansas. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live.
How y'all doing today?
Hey.
Hey, what's on your mind?
All right, so the holes in the mask for the marching band is an absolute real thing. If you will Google the Van Buren High School Marching Band in Arkansas, they posted a bunch of pictures, or a couple pictures, of the masks they will be wearing during marching season, and it is absurd.
Well, someone on the Discord server at discord.freetalklive.com actually found it and sent us an article and a video of them, of the orchestra that's going around on the internet, at least.
Yeah, the Czech Philharmonic is talking.
And poor Conan, apparently they played his favorite song, and they did terribly.
I don't know who played that, the theme song to Red Dwarf, and hopefully it wasn't the Mask people, because it was beautifully done, and I just don't want to know that it was idiots that was performing it.
I thought you didn't like
it. This is the marching band that's won the state title 2 out of the last 3 years. My kids were both in it for two titles. And they're not in band anymore. One's a junior, one's a senior, because they just, they kind of got burned out on it. But yeah, it's pretty funny. The other thing I was going to mention is that, you guys were talking about Child Protective Services earlier.
Right.
And, I've got a couple of dear friends that work for, here it's called DHS, not the Department of Homeland Security, but
Department of Health and
Human Services. Yeah. And so, I think there are really good people that work there that mean well, but they are corrupt organizations. Just a basic Google search, and you'll find that from the year 2000 till now, there's been 114,000 children go missing that are in foster care, that are in the state foster care system.
Hold on. You mean in Arkansas alone, or in the whole United States?
No, nationwide.
I mean, it's still horrifying either way, but I just want to make sure.
114. How do you lose 114,000
Yeah,
kids?
and don't forget all of the stories. I mean, we've reported on a few of them over the years here on Free Talk Live, where they'll find that some bureaucrat within one of these Department of Children and Families has actually been purposefully molesting the children that are put into their, under their care or whatever.
Yeah, that's why they get in that line of work in the first place.
Exactly, and then we find out that Kentucky, it's their policy, departmental policy, to strip search any children children in any home where there was an accusation of anything, basically. It was like just part of the thing they do. So, like, that's one of your job requirements is that you get to strip children of all ages every day, basically. It's crazy.
Right. It's any profession that is out there, there are going to be people that seek out certain professions, whether it's a police officer for some douchebag that wants to have a power trip.
I mean, Catholic priests have nothing on the Department of Children and Families.
Really? No.
These guys, it's their job. The department with the Catholic priests, they're not supposed to be doing that. With this job, they're supposed to be doing that.
But with the priests, it's an open secret with the priests. Everyone knows they're doing it.
Sure.
With the Child Protective Services, everyone thinks they're protecting children, and yet no one really understands what's going on unless they have seen it firsthand. And even then, maybe they don't believe that it really happened.
Good point.
Right. Yeah. It's just I've been kind of digging into this, and I think I've told you guys this before, but this child sex trafficking deal, and it's a dark thing to start looking into because you start to realize how deep it goes. And I realize everything that's out there is, some of it's sensationalized and some of it is probably blown out of proportion. But even if 10% of it is right or correct, it's atrocious. Yeah. And anyway, I just wanted to point those two things out, guys. I appreciate it.
Look up Jimmy Savile.
Thank you so much for the call.
Jimmy Savile, he was an entertainer in the UK. He was on TV, the BBC, things like that. And after he died, it came out that he was actually going into hospitals. It was like a thing that he did. Everybody knew he was going to hospitals. Like Jimmy Savile would come and see you on your deathbed, or whatever. Oh, kids, you're sick in the hospital. Here's Jimmy Savile. Turns out he was molesting people on their in their hospital beds, including children and people who weren't children.
As they were dying.
Probably some of them weren't dying, but they were in the hospital, and he was molesting them, and the people in the system were protecting him.
Oh yeah. And including probably even participating in some events.
Wouldn't surprise me. But
it's a big old party, and I'm glad I'm not in it because we're finding out that there's a lot of sickos out there, and what are we concentrating on? Orange Man bad, COVID. Meanwhile, COVID. You hear these horror stories, and they immediately shoot it down, or Facebook censors it. What?
Well, because a lot of it's freaking nonsense.
How do you know?
Because it's nonsense.
All right, where are all these missing children going? That's not a nonsense number. It's actually hundreds.
No, I don't deny that, those children that are missing are probably sex trafficked. But if you're talking about like the Pizzagate and the Wayfair crap, it's nonsense.
Oh, that is the sex trafficking. You're trying to get it. You're trying to turn it into like adrenochrome or something. I'm just saying.
No, that's what the Wayfair arguing people did.
You have to explain what the Wayfair thing was. You have to explain it now. You can't just bring it up and be like, Wayfair thing. I didn't know what a Wayfair thing was before I heard about this.
So Wayfair is like Amazon in that you buy furniture and crap on there, and they had strangely priced items like filing cabinets for $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, whatever, that just so happened to also have the name of a missing child.
That's right. Yes. Like in the title of the item.
Yeah. And that's weird.
And internet conspiracy theorists thought that you could give Wayfair $9,000 and somebody would show up with a child at your door or something.
I think this is an elaborate money laundering scheme.
There are easier ways to money launder than that.
Whatever.
It's like buying expensive art. This is a way to,
Could be.
Oh, okay.
Buy expensive.
I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
Who knows?
But I don't think that.
But not children. I don't think they're going to show up with
And not one of these people who were investigating was like, okay, well, we're gonna find a wealthy investor to buy one of these filing cabinets, and if a child shows up inside the box or whatever,
case closed.
Yeah. But they didn't do that because they're idiots.
But why is that the first example that you brought up? Because it's the most extremely weird and silly. But when they're talking about the
Pizzagate's way more plausible than the Wayfair scandal.
That's what I mean. But you won't actually hear about, like you said, Savile. They'll never bring his name up that he's a powerful individual. No, I'm talking about the mainstream media that will immediately go to Wayfair, or they'll immediately go to coronavirus created by 5G. These conspiracy, these anti-maskers, they immediately go anti-wacky. Yeah. They make you look stupid. They make you look tinfoil hat, and they never bring up any of the other arguments that are much more.
Their job's to support the state. Their job is to support the status quo, and so if they
and
can
the state is
that's very conspiratorial of you, Ian.
That's their job.
The state is full of pedophiles. Clearly, I mean, we saw this from Jeffrey Epstein and his links to Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, all of these other people.
Trump, not just government. You have lots of Hollywood folk on that list.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to jump to conspiracy theories. We have the guy who was arranging all of this,
and there's no shortage of Hollywood guys who've been saying, "Yeah, when I was 15."
Exactly.
So and so made me give him a hand job or whatever.
And conveniently, the guy who knew it all is on an island somewhere with a different face. I'm talking about Epstein.
Yeah, I don't believe
he didn't kill himself, and he's probably still alive.
You
don't think he is? I didn't see his body.
Well, I mean, there are images of his body all over the
just
internet.
one. It looked kind of like the who is that chef? Bourdain?
There's a bunch of chefs. I don't know.
The one who hung himself last year.
Oh, that guy, yeah, Anthony Bourdain.
So if you look at some of the pictures of him coming out in a stretcher, Epstein looks very similar.
Looks like him.
Very similar. Just saying.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying the guy who came out in a stretcher didn't necessarily look like Epstein.
Well, I'm going to say that Jeffrey Epstein killing himself is the least likely thing that happened.
This wouldn't be the first time a body double was shoved down our throats, and a month later, when the guy is actually in a coma, Kim Jong-un, it comes out that for 2 months he had a body double walking around, kind of like him. Wouldn't be the first time.
What are your thoughts on all this? 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Attention radio listeners. Have you ever wanted to be independent of the utility companies and actually generate your own supply of off-grid electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you'll ever hear. Here's why. A limited number of solar-powered backup generators are back in stock and now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. And unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running silently, secretly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, even keep food from spoiling. Go to mysolarbackup.com to learn more. That's mysolarbackup.com. Supplies are still limited and are available on a first-come, first-served basis only. mysolarbackup.com.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. Take control of the airwaves. Talk about whatever's on your mind. Give us a call at 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And I want to tell you about local.bitcoin.com. It's a trading platform launched by Bitcoin.com that allows you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash using dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted, which means you finally have a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Again, that's local.bitcoin.com. Let's keep going to the phones. We've got Ethan calling from Colorado. Ethan, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Hey, what's on your mind?
So last night Ian was talking about he was telling nobody, I think, don't give the feds any ideas about a Department of Technology and Innovation, which is actually something that Andrew Yang is trying to do, which it sounds pretty freaky because I don't think the Fed should have anything to do with innovation. They're not very good at doing that themselves.
Right.
But specifically, Yang is trying to get Joe Biden to give him a new cabinet position specifically centered around the Department of Technology.
Oh, boy.
Which is actually an old thing that used to be in existence through the Feds. But apparently, now Yang wants to revive it. And basically what they're going to do with it is use it to limit the free speech through the internet, which is a form of free speech in and of itself, just like fire or any other technology that humans created. And this is, once again, like part of this like great governmental overreach of the people. Pretty freaky shit, man.
You can't say that on the radio.
Yeah, well, you can't have, like we were talking this evening in the last segment, calling out all the pedophiles that are in power. You can't have jokers like ourselves calling them out and basically putting a bullseye on them, calling out to what's actually taking place out there. You got to shut it down, right? Protect their buddies, protect their cronies. And I'm looking at, by the way, I'm looking at this too, Department of Technology. It's
Ethan, thank you for the call. Keep in mind next time, though, that there are certain words you can't say on the radio.
Which is, of course, the government's fault.
Yes.
They got involved in that technology back 100 years ago or however long it was.
Yeah.
That didn't work out very well.
No, I mean, if the government was innovative, the post office would have invented email. But they didn't.
Well, yeah, but even like big companies don't innovate that well, right? Like once they have their place and they've got their business and they've got their customers,
and they've beat out all their competition.
Yeah, well, using the government in a lot of cases, certainly in the case of radio, they prohibit competition through the FCC. But yeah, it's a scary idea to have the government in charge of approving technology. That would really set us back.
This from the Yang2020.com page, the last paragraph. Technological innovation shouldn't be stopped, but it should be monitored and analyzed to make sure we don't move past a point of no return.
What the hell does that mean?
This will require cooperation between the government, and private industry to ensure that developing technologies can continue to improve our lives without destroying them. We need a federal government department with a cabinet-level secretary that is in charge of leading technological regulation in the 21st century.
That's scary stuff.
Yang 2020.
It sounds pretty much like what we would expect it to sound like. I mean, it means he wants to control the internet.
Control all the bad stuff on the internet.
He'll decide, not just the internet,
and not the internet, technology in general.
He'll decide what is, or whoever his top bureaucrats will decide whatever shall be developed. So if they think that whatever your technology is, whether it be stem cell research or cloning or robotics or nanotech or whatever it is that's coming,
or Bill Gates' new trust stamp,
if it doesn't help their goals, it won't be approved.
Right.
And their goals aren't going to be your goals. So getting into some good news, there is there is a diner in Jersey that is refusing to bow down to the government. Do you have that pulled up?
Oh, yeah. I only found out about this because I started following one of the guys from the Attilis Gym. Those are the guys who are reopening their gym in spite of the fact that they've already been arrested like twice and had the government change the locks on their gym doors, which they then kicked in, and they took their own doors down and left them down. Lacey Township, New Jersey, WABC reporting a diner in New Jersey is openly defying state orders against indoor dining. Despite the public health risk from COVID-19, the owners insist they're taking every precaution to keep customers safe. But now their act of defiance could lead to an arrest. Brian Brindisi says he has had...
What a stupid thing to get arrested for. And I don't mean that on the fault of the people getting arrested. Let me rephrase it then. What a stupid thing to arrest someone for.
For defiance? That's the only thing they really arrest people for.
No,
with the exception of an occasional actual crime.
But they're essentially being arrested for having a restaurant that allows indoor dining.
That's correct.
That's a stupid thing to arrest someone for.
They're being arrested because they're doing what they were told not to do.
Yeah.
By men with guns.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's what it always
breaks down.
No, I know that, but that's what it always breaks down to. It's important to realize that. Like, breaking certain rules here and there, well, okay, that can be overlooked. But when you're breaking a rule right in front of the state in a way that is being brought to their attention and putting the state agents in a position where if they do nothing, they look impotent, and if they crack down, they look tyrannical. That is ultimately what this is, and that's why it's awesome to see this happen, because it puts the state in that position that they don't want to be in. Like, yes, they want to be tyrants, but they want to get away with it by just issuing threats. They want to be able to just show up and say, hey, if we have to come back here again, you're going to get a ticket. And they know that 99.99 times out of 100, that will be successful.
Sure.
But then you got these gym owners, and now this guy, Brian Brindisi, who says he's had nonstop support for reopening his Lakeside Diner in Lacey Township, but someone has apparently now filed a criminal complaint against him.
Some freaking Karens, man.
There's only two ways they're going to get me out of here: handcuffs or in a body bag, and I mean that, he said. I don't mean that in a threat to the police. I'm just saying I'm not leaving.
Well, it sounds like it's his property, so he's going to defend it against an invasion.
Customers were waiting before he even arrived to open his diner Monday. He's racked up 13 citations so far, defying Governor Phil Murphy's executive order that shut down indoor dining ever since the pandemic hit. So again, it's bad here in New Hampshire, but it's worse in New Jersey. At least we can go inside a damn restaurant here. More than 15,000 people have died in the state, and nearly 200,000 have been infected. Brindisi withdrew retirement money to help his employees during the shutdown and also gave the diner's food away to soup kitchens, food pantries, and employees to help keep them afloat. He's got outdoor seating but says the inside's been modified to comply with social distancing. Additionally, the staff sanitizes regularly. A court order is expected later Monday, and Brindisi is waiting to see what will happen. So we'll see if there's maybe an update on this particular case. He finally said, quote, "They can do what they want to do up there. They want to waste time with me, somebody who's got a small place like this, and this is what they want to waste their time on instead of governing our state. Goes to show you what we have working for us," he said.
Well, I mean, they have to waste their time on him, as you said, because otherwise they look impotent.
Yeah, he questioned their authority. He put them on the stand, and what are they going to back down? Or are they going to set an example of this person so that it doesn't start to multiply? which is exactly what we've been saying on the show since pretty much day one of this, is that that's what it's going to take to get out of this abnormal and get back to the normal. It's going to require all of you conformists who just want to, you just want to get in there and get your bread and your milk, and you want to get out of that store as quickly as possible. You don't want to make a scene. It's going to require more individuals to say, screw you. This is stupid. Look at the numbers. We've been looking at the numbers. They've been dropped. The curve is down. 15 days. Remember that? 15 friggin' days?
Yes, but they're going to argue that the reason that the curve is down is because of the mask mandates.
The mask mandates didn't happen until it was already going down.
You assume there is logic to their position.
Hey, I'm looking at pictures of the damn Czech Philharmonic they're wearing zipper masks so they can blow their tubas and crap. So they could blow spit all over the audience and each other.
Well, I imagine it would be collected within the instrument.
A little bit of it, I guess.
I mean, it's not going to do loops to fly out the front of a brass horn.
It'll eventually make its way out. It takes a while. It has to build up.
I don't think that's how it works. Anyway, you're right. If things are ever going to go back to normal, we have to just start living normally again. Instead, people are waiting for some sort of sign, some sort of cue from the government that it's okay to go back to normal. You just sort of have to make a decision to go back to normal. And I don't think most people want to do that. I think they do, but they're terrified into not wanting it.
Confrontation hurts. It's not easy standing up to somebody, even if it's, the store clerk. And I'm not talking about cops. I'm talking just the store guy. It's hard. It doesn't feel good. People don't want to do it.
I think it does feel good. I mean, it's almost an adrenaline rush to stand up to an authority telling you something.
Most people aren't you, Aria.
Yeah.
Diner owner is being charged with contempt.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's expected to become a major hurricane. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what the National Hurricane Center is saying about Laura, with more than 500,000 people in the Gulf in its path.
It's anticipated to be a Category 3 hurricane. We need to be prepared for the possibility that it could increase to be a Category 4 hurricane.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who has ordered evacuations for several cities. The Hurricane Center says Laura is expected to make landfall late Wednesday or early Thursday. Evacuations also ordered in southwestern Louisiana. The family of the black man shot by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, say he is severely injured, and they're calling for swift action from the department.
Attorney Ben Crump says Jacob Blake's injuries to, most notably, his spine are severe enough to endanger his ability to walk.
And to hopefully become some resemblance of the man he once was.
Blake's sister, Letitra Weidman, says she has yet to cry because of what's happened, but there are other feelings she has due to incidents like this.
This is nothing new. I'm not sad. I'm not sorry. I'm angry. And I'm tired.
The officers involved are on administrative leave as the incident is investigated. The National Guard is in Kenosha as protests continue. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
About an hour and a half away from night 2 of the Republican National Convention, some have questioned the First Lady using the Rose Garden for her address tonight, and the nation's top diplomat under scrutiny for taking part.
Mike Pompeo will appear from Israel. His appearance is unprecedented as well. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying today it sends the wrong message.
Fox's John Roberts. Fox News Radio's Democracy 2020 coverage of the Republican National Convention live tonight starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Download the Fox News app. Click Listen to listen live. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 hasn't let up, but we have to keep this economy rolling. NetSuite will help your business make that happen. That's why over 21,000 companies, including Boll & Branch, makers of the world's softest sheets, choose NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. We talked to David Reed, CFO of Boll & Branch, about how they use NetSuite.
Before NetSuite, we were stitched together with spreadsheets and hope. Now I have only one source of truth for our financials, HR, inventory, and supply chain. Because NetSuite is cloud-based, working from home didn't change a thing. We're still bringing affordable luxury into homes all across America. I'm now closing the books 5 to 10 times faster thanks to NetSuite.
NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox.
Russia pushing back on claims that a critic of President Putin was poisoned.
President Putin's spokesperson rejecting claims the Kremlin was involved in an alleged attack on a Russian opposition leader, calling the accusations empty noise. Doctors treating Alexei Navalny in Germany say tests suggest he was poisoned. He's in a coma after collapsing in Russia last week. Putin's office dismissing calls for a criminal investigation, saying Navalny's condition could have been triggered by a variety of causes. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
A forklift has damaged a brick walkway at Fort McHenry, where Vice President Pence is expected to accept the renomination later this week. Fort McHenry and those that were stationed there defended Baltimore Harbor from the British Navy during the War of 1812, inspiring Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner. The pandemic has been bad for the finances of many, but good for others, according to a new survey.
About half say they're saving more money or paying off debt faster than usual during the pandemic. 2/3 surveyed for this Associated Press NORC poll say they're spending less than usual by choice or necessity. The Federal Reserve reports 56% more money sitting in checking accounts since February. Just 37% of Americans say the national economy is good, but 63% say their personal situation is good. That's about the same as before the outbreak started. Chris Foster, Fox News.
After denying it late yesterday, Jerry Falwell Jr. now says he has resigned as head of Liberty University due to ongoing controversies surrounding his wife's relationship with a younger business partner and controversy surrounding a controversial photo of him. He had already been on leave over that photo. Sunday, the Washington Examiner published a letter from Falwell detailing the affair and saying the man was threatening to blackmail his family. He says he is seeking counseling. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Shortly after accidentally clicking like on nearly 400 of his ex-girlfriend's Facebook photos earlier today, panicked area man Adam Nuensing spoke to Onion reporters about his mistake.
Damn it, I was just looking at one of Rebecca's Instagram photos that showed up on my newsfeed, and the next thing I know, I just
liked every single photo that she posted over the last 4 years. I didn't mean to, but it just kind of happened.
The 28-year-old told reporters that he had browsed through 14 of his ex-girlfriend's photo albums while inadvertently clicking like on each and every picture, including dozens from her office picnic last fall, her trip to New York in 2010, and a photo of her and her first boyfriend from 2006.
I thought if I went back and clicked unlike on all those pictures that maybe she wouldn't get any notifications. But then I saw some other albums and I ended up liking 80 more photos and shared them on my wall. Shit.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And Ian, you had some quick updates about this New Jersey diner and what is happening to the owner. Evidently, the New Jersey police, they really like changing people's locks on them.
Yeah, the diner owner, oh God, where did I put that story? Anyway, I had looked for updates because what happened was there's a New Jersey diner owner, for listeners just tuning in, he is refusing to close inside. And of course, he's jumping through hoops, right? Like he's like, oh, we did this cleaning thing, we did that, Corona thing. And that's not good enough in New Jersey. So they've threatened him. They've come at him with 12 different citations. And I guess there was supposed to be some sort of a court hearing yesterday about it, at which apparently, and it was hard to find an update, there has not been much written about whatever it was that happened yesterday, but apparently he's now also going to be facing a charge of basically what sounds like New Jersey's version of contempt of court. They used different terminology, and I don't have the article in front of me that I had before. But basically he's being charged with defying the court order. So the judge had ordered him to obey the Department of Health or whoever it was that was issuing him the summonses before, and so now he's violated a judge's order, which could very well land him in a jail cell, because when you do
they don't like contempt of court.
Right. They will punish you, and there's no limit to the amount of time usually that you can go to jail for contempt. So it's usually you go to jail until they feel like you're going to be a good boy.
Mm. Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Matt calling from Missouri. Matt, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going? I'm a long-time listener.
He says this every time he calls.
Yeah. Well, my first story is I have a masked bank story. They don't let anybody in without a mask. Well, by God, I went into a lobby today without a mask. And
congratulations.
If you guys have time, I'll tell you that.
What was that?
Where was the lobby?
The lobby of a bank.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did they give you a hard time?
No, they actually didn't.
Cool. So
actually what happened is I walked in. I didn't want to go in the first place, but circumstances before that, I had to go. Wasn't happy about it.
Well, no one ever wants to go to a bank.
Well, right. Yeah, right.
Unless you're cashing a check.
So I go.
Even then, dude.
Well, we have to have you come in the lobby. Like, well, I don't wear a mask, so obviously this is going to be a problem.
So they requested you to come into the lobby?
Yes. Yeah, I went through the drive-through. Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's
they
unusual.
said, oh, well, the lobby's open now, and what we do with what I had to get done, we do it in the lobby now. I'm like, okay, well, through my head, I already know that they're going to ask me to put a mask on. Well, I go in, and of course, she goes, do you have a mask? I go, no. I kind of look at her like, I'm not going to put one on.
Mm-hmm.
She goes over to the little drawer, grabs a mask, hands it to me, said thanks, and I just put it in my pocket. So then I see the manager go over to her, the woman that handed me the mask, and kind of whisper to her, did you give him a mask? And she, kind of shook her head. They obviously knew I wasn't very happy being in there. I told them why I was not happy being in there, previous circumstances of other branches of that bank. And I sat in there. There was like 3 or 4 different customers, all wearing masks. I did my business in 15 minutes, never wore a mask. Out the door I went.
Awesome.
That's a nice feeling.
It is. Matt, thanks for the good news. I'm glad to hear that, banks, some branches are allowing people to get away with it.
I want to apologize to him, too, because there's been a crank caller who's called recently. He's one of these Jew-obsessed callers that we've had recently. And he opens every call with, "I love your guys' show," or whatever. Like he tries to sound like he's familiar with the show, and he just wants to say the F word. And that wasn't the same guy, I don't think. So I don't think so either.
It is a feel good story. And in the last segment, I was talking about no one likes confrontation. So everyone just wants to comply, put the mask on, and get in there and get their milk.
That's right.
But you know what? It works the other way as well.
That's right.
The store clerk doesn't want to be confrontations with you either. So I mean, a lot of times, and that's why the Walmart policy is, here's your mask, let them in. But that's it. It's just like the shoplifters, by the way. And probably not something you want to proclaim to the heavens that they won't stop shoplifters, but that's basically their policy. If they don't have a security person who is trained in taking people down, they're supposed to just let you go.
Let's keep going. We've got George calling from Tennessee. George, you're on Free Talk Live.
Okay, howdy. I'm George.
Hi, George.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Some elevator music?
What? Okay.
Was he playing a violin there or something like that? I don't know what that was.
I don't either.
Was it the world's smallest violin?
Yeah.
Though?
We've also got Jen from Las Vegas. Jen, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's on your mind?
I wanted to give you a little update. I live in Las Vegas, and we wanted to just get out of the heat and kind of go up into the rural areas. Mm-hmm. And we went to a national park to go hiking. We're 10,000 feet up. We hiked pretty much all day. We may have passed 40 people, groups of couples or whatever, hiking. And most of them, as soon as we get close to them, they would put on their masks. We would pass, and then they take off their masks. I was losing it. And then my husband and me, we would sing as we're passing those people, "Rehumanize yourself. Rehumanize yourself."
Wow.
And I wouldn't try to make eye contact with them, but we met a lot of great people without masks, and we always stopped and had great conversations. But in rural, the country where I was, in the area I was at, we actually got to go into grocery stores, bars, restaurants. People were dancing. No, people were wearing masks, but nobody made you wear a mask. And I just felt so great going into these grocery stores. But so now I'm just starting to lose it back in Vegas after I've
How bad is it there right now? I mean, is it still pretty desolate? What's it like?
Even where?
In Vegas.
Oh, it's horrible. So like when I was going into this restaurant in rural Nevada, where you don't need a mask, this lady gets back into her car. She goes, "Oh, we need our masks." And I told her out to the window, I said, "Hey, you don't need your masks." And she goes, "Yes, we do. We love our masks." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And so I'm starting to confront people. So yesterday back in Vegas, I'm waiting in line at Panda Express, and they have everybody outside. And I'm just starting to talk to people because we've got to do something, man. And I don't know what to do, but we've got to stop.
Well, when you say you're confronting people, I mean, what do you mean by that?
What's that?
When you say you're starting to confront people, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just saying, why are you wearing your mask? Don't you know this is BS? And there's all this evidence, and I'm now going to print flyers, and I'm going to put them on cars in grocery stores. I stopped a kid. What happened to the teenagers that are rebellious? When I grew up in the 80s, so not like the 60s, but in the 80s, my version was to have a mohawk and, be rebellious like that. Kids aren't even rebellious anymore. If I was a teenager, I would never be wearing a mask.
Great point. Yeah. What the hell, teens? Get with it.
I know,
it's all the soy. It's the soy and the fluoride.
And I say,
great cocktail.
Are you just going to wait for CNN for one day to tell you that you can take your mask off? But I have a feeling this is forever, guys, and I guess I'm going to have to move.
Yeah, I think that may be what it comes down to. I think it may be that people who don't want to live a life of fear, which is this new lifestyle apparently, will have to make a point, kind of like the Free State Project of migrating together to get away from this insanity. And I don't think you're necessarily wrong for speaking to people. I personally don't feel like it's my place to tell somebody, my opinion about their clothing choices, even though I do think that it is contributing, to serious problems down the road. So I don't think you're wrong for it. It's interesting, though. I bet you're going to have some very interesting confrontations if you start talking to people about their choices like that.
I'm definitely not in support of confronting people because if they want to wear a mask of their own choice, that's their business. Yeah. But don't confront me about not wearing one. 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in free of a mask.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. DIVI project.org.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. What you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Hours spent volunteering at a local homeless shelter truly make her death at the hands of a drunk driver earlier this week all the harder to take for this school and this community.
I never knew Amanda, but everywhere I went there were touching reminders of the caring friend she would have been to me had I known her.
Losing Amanda was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with, but I knew I had to be strong for this community. I couldn't let them go through the funeral without my support.
She's so much better than all of us. She was such good. She cared about so many people. She loved you so much. What's your name? She loved you, Russell.
And we have O'Brady Shaw with us right now.
Thanks, Brooke.
Not quite how I would have reported the story. Seems a bit unprofessional to let yourself get so emotional.
Well, when people are feeling pain, I feel it too. Don't you ever get emotionally invested in a story?
No, I don't. I had my tear ducts cauterized years ago, and I like to keep my emotions stored in a special place in my mind where they only come out for my night terrors.
This is the Onion News Network.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And Forkfest 2021 is happening, and we're already gearing up for it. It's June the 28th through July the 4th at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire.
Yeah, 2020 was a good Forkfest.
It was. And it happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, or at least it did in 2020.
It's still intended to happen after.
But will it be the week after? I mean,
it should be.
It'll be after the Porcupine Freedom Festival
it
for
should
sure.
be the week after.
Okay. And isn't there a pre-party as well this year?
There might be. I've heard rumors.
Yeah. There's no ticket cost, though. So if anybody sells you a ticket for Forkfest, you got ripped off. So no one is in charge. It's completely decentralized.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I don't know if you were aware of this, but one of our haters apparently told Carla from the Free State Project that what we were saying on the air was if you buy a ticket to the Porcupine Freedom Festival, that you're getting ripped off.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Did you actually say that?
No, of course we didn't say that.
We encouraged people to go to the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but these people try to make it look like we are like on the attack, and that's not at all the case. I think the two festivals can coexist and be friendly, but not everybody wants to be friendly.
Yep.
So come and join us on Independence Day in the Shire at Rogers Campground, Forkfest 2021. Just book your RV site, your campsite, your motel room for, again, June the 28th through July the 4th. I
think you can book it now. I think
I'm
you
sure
can
you
book
can.
up to a year in advance at Rogers.
Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Kirby calling from Indiana. Kirby, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Hey, what's on your mind?
I'm going to touch on two things. First of all, COVID. I sat down and did the math for my county last night because I wanted to see if it was what the CDC said. And it comes out to right about 0.04%.
Of deaths, you mean? People who were infected and died?
Yep.
Okay.
Came out to like 0.42, which is nothing.
0.042?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
important to put the other zero in.
794 deaths out of 6 million people. But what I really wanted to touch on tonight was that garbage that went down in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Is this some cop shot a guy in the back and then people rioted?
They shot him from contact distance. The cop was no more than 2 feet away from him.
Jeez.
And they shot him in the back point blank?
Yes, 7 times.
Wow. What did they allege this man had done?
Apparently, he was having an issue with his girlfriend. She called the police. The police came. The first story I heard was that they tased him. It didn't work. He had a knife in his hand. He said he's going to his car to get a gun. They followed him to his car, around the front of the car, to his open driver's side door, and stepped directly up to him and shot him. There were many ways to resolve that. They could have OC'd him and got him with the baton. There were many ways to do this, but they shot him from what they call contact distance, which is 3 feet or less.
Fully within the distance to apprehend, fully within the distance to handcuff, and you said it was more than one officer?
It was 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy announced that he was going to his car to get his gun, you said?
Yes.
And the cops just they just moseyed on over with him?
Followed him. Yeah. and the cop had his gun out at the time. So someone tells you, I'm going to go get my gun, and you allow it, and you're within touching distance, and there's 2 of you and 1 of him, and I'm sorry, but this has got to stop. I don't agree with burning down buildings, but
seems like an appropriate response to me. If no one's inside the building, you know what? Why not?
Kirby, are you a
at
defund the police guy, or are you like a reform the police? What's your opinion on that whole?
I personally think the neighborhoods can police themselves if you allow them.
Amen.
We don't need somebody from another county who, and this is going to sound horrible, but we don't need somebody from Gas City, Indiana, who's never seen a Negro anywhere than on TV working my neighborhood with a badge and a gun.
Before we get banned on the internet, I want to point out that Kirby is in fact black.
I think you can say Negro.
I said Negro.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
I think you just did, and I just did. Yeah, I think you can say
I can't
Negro.
say that on the radio.
No, I didn't say you couldn't.
Oh, okay.
We can't.
Okay.
Well, I just did.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it's your Twitch account.
It just means black. It's Spanish for black people. That's what that means.
When I was growing up, my grandparents referred to us as colored.
Oh wow! Somebody just got kicked off the radio for that.
Yeah,
recently.
you can't say colored people anymore either.
But you were supposed. That was the politically correct term just a few years ago.
My grandmother
it was
used to
people
say
of
it.
color.
I'm actually
Well,
from what I've
offended by
the way I see
offended
the
by
way
the
I see the
term
mainstream media
African-American.
throwing it around colored people, it actually sounds more offensive to me than Negro does.
Say that again, Kirby.
I'm offended by African American. I've never been to Africa.
Right.
My black family has been here for at least 15 generations. I'm no part African.
Maybe we should just call everyone Asian American, since a bunch of people who allegedly crossed the Bering Land Bridge.
Well, we were all from Africa, so originally,
There
so
you
we're
go.
all if we're in America, we're all African Americans, right?
I am not touching any of this.
I just want to be a human being.
I know.
Amen.
Welcome to the club. Me too.
And I'm tired of this circus that we live in. You know, I mean,
Me too.
And back to COVID, I get dirty looks for not wearing a mask. But I wish somebody would say something, because I told you how I am. I have no problem with telling you, step off, go away. I'm not putting it on. And if you want to force me to put it on, let's do this right here, right now.
Yeah. Let's get video too.
Yep. Kirby, thank you so much for the
Thanks,
call.
man.
Stay strong, man. Keep wearing a mask.
Apparently, there was video of the Kenosha situation as well. Somebody got a cell phone video, and of course, the police are saying, or the president of the Kenosha Police Union says, as always, the video currently circulating does not capture all the intricacies of a highly dynamic incident, and called the governor's statement about it wholly irresponsible. I guess some politicians are disagreeing about the matter. But, there were witnesses, at least one witness with a video, apparently.
Yeah, well, when people like Biden and then this governor come right out and say we need to hold these officers accountable, they hadn't even seen the video yet. What happened to guilty or not guilty until proven otherwise?
That doesn't apply to police.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the video yet. I don't know what happened.
I'm going to assume the police are guilty because they're the police and it's their job to kill people.
It's their job to follow the orders and uphold their.
But they don't follow the orders.
Throw everyone to the boxcar.
They very rarely even know what the orders are.
This is also true.
This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That number's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And we actually did find the, what's the name? Kenosha, something like that?
Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha, yeah. We found the shooting. And it's bizarre to watch because the cops, Larry's absolutely right. I mean, Kirby was absolutely right. The cops had plenty of opportunity to do something about this guy, short of shooting him in the back.
If it's true, the claim that he said he was going to go and get a gun from his car, that was what the claim was.
Yes. And they let him get all the way to his
the car, even though they were right behind him the entire time. Now, the video we saw is only about 25 seconds long. It shows the man sort of coming around the side of the car, walking into the street to go to the driver's side door. Yeah. And the police are right behind him, within an arm's reach the entire time. So it wasn't like
they're escorting him to his door.
It's almost like they're escorting him to the door. But the cop that's like closest to him kind of grabs at him a little bit before he gets to the door to try to open it. But it's not a real like determined grab. He just sort of like grabs at him a little bit, and then when the dude finally opens the door, the cop gets behind him and just blasts him.
Yeah, you mentioned during the break, it almost looked like he wanted him to reach for his gun. He was just aching for it.
If he didn't want him to reach for the gun, then why wouldn't he have stopped him before he got to the damn car, knowing that he was going to get his gun? If indeed that was what he had announced, was that he was going to get his gun,
Which would be a stupid thing to tell the police.
If the cops draw, because again, the cops have their guns drawn on him through the entirety, basically, of this video. Maybe at the very beginning, he's kind of behind the car, so I wouldn't be able to be 100% sure they had him out, I think, the whole time, but I think they did. Anyway, the cops had the guns on him for seconds and seconds in this video. The whole time, they could have taken him down if that's what they wanted to do. If you draw your gun on somebody, you're supposed to be ready to shoot them. The idea generally when you draw a gun on somebody isn't to like follow them around and then take them down. The idea is you draw a gun to get them to stop moving and you take them down at that instant, or else you have to shoot them.
Yeah.
You don't wait 20 seconds and like pace around and follow this guy.
And as Kirby mentioned, there's other methods. There's the tasers, there's batons, there's two of them. They could have tackled the guy.
Yes.
Of course. All right, but this is all right, and I just saw the video for the first time, but I've also heard. All right, so first there's the he's beating his girlfriend or something. I guess there's a warrant on it for this guy.
Well, there was an argument with his girlfriend. I don't know if we can say he was beating his girlfriend or not. I don't know. I wasn't there.
And he was in a scuffle with these guys, and which kind of
complaint was quote family trouble.
It looked like he was just sort of walking around.
Woman that called the police said Blake, quote, isn't supposed to be there and took the complainant's keys and is refusing to give them back. This is from the police logs, basically. So somebody listened to the radio traffic of the Kenosha Police Department, and they sort of pieced this together.
Well, we'll get the leaked body cam footage in 2 months. From somebody.
Blake did have a warrant issued from a domestic case where he was arrested back in May. So probably missed court would be my guess or something if he had a warrant out for his arrest, but they hadn't arrested him.
Yeah, probably a bench warrant. Well, let's go to the phones. We got Mortified Penguin calling. Mortified Penguin, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, I'm really split whether now that you Kirby called, great caller by the way, and brought that up. We've been talking about it in the Discord. A lot to talk about there. If anybody wants to discuss it with us, go over to the discord.lrn.fm. But I called about the nation state, and I mean honestly, a lot of callers or a lot of listeners on the show are patriotic, maybe a little nationalistic, a lot of nationalistic and ultra nationalists sometimes in the Discord, especially in the toxic user zone. There's a little trend of that, and there's of course big trend of the patriot types. And I kind of want to say, like, if you're going to be a really hardcore nationalist to think the nation and the national culture should be upheld against people that want to subvert it, and you get all this weirdness, and it really does exist. I mean, let's look critically. Like, you should look critically at every claim that's made that there's such a thing as a national culture. Because if you were a Frenchman or an Englishman, let's say, or anywhere, and this still applies now, but 500 years ago, they every single culture but the one national culture that was allowed to continue when the nation states were founded were wiped out. Every language, every local tradition and local way of dress, all those cultures but one were wiped out in all these little countries when they made their little nation states and formalized their borders and governments. And so, I mean, if you're for culture and tradition, the nation state's the number one destroyer of culture and tradition and local governance in history.
I don't think that's the fault of the nation state. I think that's probably the fault of communication becoming more and more accessible. Radios were invented, televisions were invented, phones were invented, the internet was invented. So culture is sort of homogenized as people wanted to be more like each other. Nobody wants to be different.
Well, I don't think that's true.
Their team versus my team. That's the way. That's what the people live for.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about the history of the nation state where people are actually oppressed into accepting some other culture. I mean, that is absolutely true in a lot of cases.
But, yeah.
Right? Mortified Penguin, isn't that what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, and to counter Aria's point, because it's definitely a true thing. I mean, yeah, we got the internet, so everybody's communicating in English on the internet. But why do we have, France with French and Germany with German and England with English, when actually those countries, I mean, sometimes each little village and each separate valley had a different dialect. I mean, and it was all pushed.
Well, they still do have. There's some echo there. They still do have different dialects.
Sure,
I mean, they have different accents. Yeah, I mean, but it's very inconvenient for me to go to Swansea and find that they're speaking an entirely different language. That's not convenience at all.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, in cities like New York City or D.C. or a lot of these places, there are little Chinatowns and little Italies, and in a lot of these cases, you're going into a place where a number of people do not speak your language, and you didn't have to go there, but if you wanted to go there, odds are they'll still take your money and sell you stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, you can still kind of get by.
Yeah, and if you ever met anybody from Africa, I mean, most of your time, you'll like sub-Saharan Africa, you're usually going to meet somebody that speaks 3 or 4 languages, including English, because that's just how you got to live in a lot of the world.
I think you're both right, though. I think that the history of the nation state has been oppression and forcing culture down people's throats. In fact, the conservatives here, a lot of them have this nation culture borders thing that they tout. But I think Aria is also right that there is a bit of homogenization going on out there, and we can see there's now this culture of fear. There's this culture of safety that we were discussing earlier in the show, and that's something that is definitely you're seeing outside of national borders.
Absolutely. And I don't like seeing it. Do you?
I think we made that pretty clear, yeah.
No, I was asking Mortified Penguin.
Culture of safety. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a whole. I don't know if it's about the COVID thing. It's complicated, and it has to do with a lot of people's personal preferences and everything. I certainly think that people's preferences and local conditions should probably govern them in a bottom-up world. So we don't have rural Montana have the same lockdown restrictions as Midtown Manhattan. I think people can generally govern themselves.
They don't have the same restrictions, but they're definitely not allowing people to govern themselves.
No, because that's the government's job, right? I mean, they want to govern,
and
that's why they become the government.
Apparently, people enjoy this crap.
Mortified Penguin, thank you so much for the call. It does seem like people enjoy this crap, and I think there's a certain giddiness in these convenience store workers when they tell you have to put on masks, because these are people who are not used to having
authority,
any authority over people, and then suddenly they do. And it's suddenly they can boss everyone around.
And it's like I said, it's team versus team. You've got 2 different teams hitting each other right now, and one of them are the maskies, and the other ones are the antis.
Yeah, and we're hopelessly outnumbered, it would seem.
Yeah.
855-450-3733.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And from mid-March to mid-July, Divi, the new easy-to-use cryptocurrency that we've been promoting here on the show, increased in value by over 10 times. Nothing is stopping Divi from increasing exponentially again, and actually that's their goal. Divi's price jumped 10 times in correlation with the release of their beta wallet. Will it go up even further when the wallet is fully released? I don't know. But we're happy with our decision to hook up with Divi a year ago. You can go to diviproject.org and begin earning Divi by starting a masternode or by staking Divi. They even have a lottery for people who stake the coin. Opportunity has knocked every day here on Free Talk Live since last September. Will you answer? That's diviproject.org, diviproject.org. Now, we have a story here about the Portland police and what's going on there with the far right. Evidently, Portland is still home to lots of protests.
It's been going on for at least a couple months now, I think.
Oh, yeah,
basically
since the George Floyd killing.
Yeah.
Since day one.
And the alt-right people have started showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cops were attempting to sort of keep the peace. I don't want to ever say that cops were trying to keep the peace, but they were trying to not escalate things, and they've given up, basically. And we're going to get into that, but real quick, let's go to the phones. So we got James calling from Arizona. James, you're on Free Talk Live.
Real quick, you mind time's not limited, like people that call in with boring, harrowing mass stories like Kirby and other dummy sycophants? You'd rather me calling about that, wouldn't you?
I don't really care what you're calling about.
What were you calling about? Just get to it.
Oh, really? You don't speak to other guests like that or callers?
That's because no one else is as rude and as awful as you.
James, let me ask you something. James, do you ever re-listen to yourself? Do you ever listen to yourself?
Conan, I don't need to listen to what I already know.
I know I'm the best caller that's ever been on the radio.
That you're lucky I haven't come up there and crushed your skull.
Oh, my
Literally.
God.
With my bare hands. No, oh, God.
With your bare hands, too, man. That's pretty strong.
He probably watches American History X on repeat, and he watches the curb stomp, scene over and over and over again because he's a sicko like that.
James, I want to know, what is your issue with Conan?
I just call in and talk to people about serious issues. That's all I ever did.
Well, we're waiting for it. When are you going to get to it?
Okay, ugly. Okay, pizza guy.
Okay.
The ugliest man in the room.
Okay, James.
This is it. Now we're ready. Okay.
What do you have against Conan?
You literally remind me of what.
I don't know what I remind you of, and you're not answering my question. So have a good night, James.
He just wants to insult people.
I don't know.
He's often very funny about it. I mean, we can see the laughs out of him.
He did all right last week. He was holding on there last week, but
I just want to know what he has against you.
He has something against all of us.
He hates everyone on this show.
Yes, but he hates Conan especially.
I think he used to like me actually on some crazy level, and then I said something. Maybe it was about his dad or something, and he's turned on me.
So the Portland police are giving up. The Portland Police Bureau appears to have all but given up, according to the Huffington Post, on policing the far-right factions brawling in the Oregon City streets. And that makes it sound like different far-right factions are fighting each other.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's infighting amongst the far right, just like there's infighting amongst, the left, just like there's infighting amongst the libertarians. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
It's more extreme, I think, among the alt-right from what I've seen, because they're already hateful and toxic. Sure. So you sort of compound that by putting them into groups. Despite a recent escalation in violence that has seen those extremists throwing explosives, brandishing guns, and in one case, firing guns at other protesters. It's common to see far-right extremist groups like the Proud Boys exchanging blows with counter-protesters. They've been doing that for years, evidently, often as PPB officers watched until a riot was officially declared, and then police cleared the streets using tear gas and other munitions. So this evidently...
Then the cops get to shoot at everybody.
Yes. It must be like a holiday for them.
Because if they did something beforehand, like if the cops stepped in when the first punch was thrown, which would be what they should do if they wanted to actually, supposedly keep the peace, then they would be able to say, oh, we know it was this guy who threw the first punch. You're under arrest.
Yeah.
And then other people, unless they pile in at that moment, might stand back and let the arrest happen. But, of course, the police are afraid they're going to get piled on. So they just stand back and they wait until it becomes a fracas. And then they're like, all right, now we can start shooting. Because then they can just shoot at anybody. And then they just issue the order to say, all right, get off the streets, time's up. Yeah, and if you don't get off the streets, then they come at you.
Right.
Over the weekend, however, police took an entirely hands-off approach to the fighting, even as the demonstrations grew more violent than ever. As officers stood by on Saturday, the Proud Boys and their far-right friends attacked and intimidated anti-fascist protesters using paintball guns, mace, fireworks, aluminum bats, and various firearms, according to the Washington Post.
Yeah, I was going to say, the way this is written, it makes it sound like the far right are the ones that are the only ones doing the attacking. And I'm certain that the leftists are also attacking the far right. Not to say that the righties aren't attacking the leftists. I'm sure that's happening too. You're probably getting both of those things happening. But the media is only saying the far right is attacking the left, and that is BS.
Yeah, and the issue is that the left, the people on the left who are attacking the far right here, they adamantly insist that the far right people, the Proud Boys, deserve to be attacked. They're all the punch-a-Nazi people.
And that they are only peacefully protesting the alt-right.
Yeah.
A lot of times who are just standing there guarding a building and or a statue, and bricks start getting thrown at them. Not saying that the alt-right isn't starting some of this nonsense.
Well, they certainly are.
But I don't know. I see a lot of the bricks being thrown coming from one particular group, and the mainstream media isn't reporting on that as much as they should be, which is, I think, is sad. And why would they go that route unless they emphasized with that group?
One of them, notorious Proud Boys organizer Alan Swinney, was seen pointing a gun at protesters, his finger on the trigger. Another Proud Boy.
Protesters.
What?
They called the article is listed them as protesters.
They are protesters.
They're rioters.
Well, there's probably some rioters and some protesters.
Usually the protest is early in the evening, and then they all go home. All the moms and stuff go home. And
well, the photograph of the man with the gun is taken during the daytime. It's not the one you're looking at right now, Aria. I think it's earlier in the story where he's just like a man with a mask is pointing a pistol.
Yeah.
That's broad daylight.
It is. I mean, both of the pictures are broad daylight. Meanwhile, over a loudspeaker, police encouraged those present to, quote, self-monitor for criminal activity. In essence, the police bureau had thrown up its hands. In a statement...
Well, once again, they're not obligated to protect anyone, so they don't, there's no legal responsibility that they have to even be there. They could just stay in the police station and play cards if they wanted to.
I know you're right, but I wish more people understood that.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Well, they have to put on a good show, Ian. They can't do the card thing because then that'll make them then they won't get paid. They won't be getting paid next month. So they kind of have they kind of have to be there and watch from a distance.
What do you mean they won't?
The more people because exactly, Aria, you just brought it up. A lot of people don't realize that they don't have to protect us. It's not really their job.
But they're not going to stop paying taxes.
Well, it is supposed to be their job.
But the more people who figure that out, the less likely the normies out there will want to actually pay for a cop who's just going to sit there and play cards. So no,
even the libertarians won't stop paying taxes.
They have to put them on. They have to put a good show, and it's the same thing with the teachers. They kind of have to show up to work every now and then.
Well, I mean,
to get their paycheck.
It does benefit the way people think about them, but I don't think the average person is ready to stop paying taxes in protest. That's what it'll take. If you actually want to defund the police, as some of these people are saying, well, stop paying for them.
Yeah, well, I mean,
use cryptocurrency.
I think this year there's going to be a lot of agencies that more and more people are wake up to, like teachers, for example. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why am I paying for this? It's distance learning. My kid has been locked in my living room all year. I made my own cubicle for him so they can talk to some teacher across the city. Why am I still paying the same damn taxes that I was last year?
Yeah, I hope people do ask that question because they may come to the conclusion that it's because they're afraid of someone stealing their home. Because that's really the reason, right?
Oh, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
They just haven't. They don't
know it yet.
No, they haven't said it out loud yet. Just say it out loud. You're paying your taxes, everyone out there, you're paying your property taxes because you don't want goons coming to your house and stealing your home and selling.
Well, it's not just property taxes. I mean, if you don't pay any taxes, the IRS can and will confiscate people's homes.
A whole other set of goons.
Does IRS take people's homes from them?
I think so.
They'll take your property to pay what you owe.
855, maybe somebody out there knows more about it. 855-450-FREE.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Ready for night 2. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. About a half hour away from the second night of the Republican National Convention, with the president once again taking part.
President Trump will have a significant role tonight. No surprise there. The campaign says that he will be appearing more than once, and we know that one of those appearances will be alongside the First Lady live in the Rose Garden for her big speech tonight. The other big speech tonight, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who will be delivering a recorded address from Jerusalem. It's a big deal because it'll be the first time a sitting Secretary of State has ever addressed a political convention in modern times. Democrats are already crying foul. They say it could be a violation of the Hatch Act. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called it appalling.
Fox's Christian Fisher at the White House. The family of Jacob Blake, the black man shot and severely wounded by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, calling for justice, but also calling for healing for the nation.
We are the United States. Have we been united? Do you understand what's going to happen when we fall? Because a house that is against each other cannot stand.
Blake's mother, Julia Jackson, his family says Blake is paralyzed and may never walk again. They're calling for the officers involved to be fired by the department and are also filing a civil lawsuit they say will help pay for the medical care he will need. The shooting has sparked several nights of violent protests in the city. The Gulf Coast on high alert as Hurricane Laura is expected to strengthen into a Category 3 storm and make landfall on late Wednesday or early Thursday.
More than 500,000 people are under mandatory evacuations from Galveston and west back east through much of Louisiana. People have till tomorrow morning to board up, pack up, and move out.
Fox's Leland Vittert in Cameron, Louisiana. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Add New York to the list of states filing lawsuits against the Trump administration over Postal Service operations.
New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's not happy about the changes.
The shutdown is nothing more than a voter suppression tactic, and these efforts to bulldoze our democracy, our economy, and our health will not go unchallenged.
She's part of a growing number of people who are concerned a slowdown in the mail will prevent mail-in ballots from being counted in time for Election Day. But in a House Oversight Committee hearing Monday, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy defended the changes, saying they were designed to improve efficiency. Some lawmakers, though, have noted that reducing overtime and limiting truck trips have caused inexcusable delays. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
Honda agrees to settle a probe with U.S. states over the use of faulty airbags.
2 affiliates of Honda, America Honda Motor Company and Honda of America, have agreed to pay most U.S. states over $84 million for the company's use of Takata airbags, which compromised the safety of Honda vehicles. That from a now public consent order, which says the parties agreed to settle solely to avoid further expenses in litigation. Exploding Takata airbag inflators can rupture rupture, sending metal shards into a vehicle's cabin. Over 140 million Takata airbags have been recalled over the last 6 years. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Sales of new homes jumped again last month, rising to 13.9% as the housing market continues to gain traction after a spring downturn caused by pandemic-related lockdowns. Sales are being fueled by ultra-low mortgage rates, which dropped below 3% earlier this month for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage for the first time in nearly 50 years. Wall Street at the close, major indexes closed mixed. The Dow lost 60 points. The Nasdaq gained 86. The S&P plus 12. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Last night's Victoria's Secret fashion show was a true ratings winner, particularly with men who don't know that actual pornography exists. The angels' feather costumes and silk nightgowns were a hit with 30 to 35-year-old male viewers who had no idea that nude images of all the models are easily accessible on the internet. And the show did equally well with 10 to 12-and-a-half-year-old boys who are going to have their minds blown when they finally get around their parents' internet blockers. CBS executives are touting the broadcast as breakthrough programming for people who are excited by the tops of boobs. Producer Dave Mitchell told Variety, quote, "The $2.5 million fantasy bra is a big draw with women who shop at Victoria's Secret, and an even bigger draw with men who've never seen or heard about sex before." The runway show drew expected outrage from the Christian Family Research Council. Executive Director Kathy Rouse charged that the event degrades women by objectifying them, most likely because she's never seen a Ukrainian prostitute receive a bukkake shower from a gang of cracked-out Albanian teens.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And Conan, last week we had a discussion about senses and blind people and the improving of their other senses.
Exactly. So if you lose one sense, we have 5 of them that we know of. Does that make room to actually enhance the other remaining senses? And I've always been like,
I've heard yes.
I've been always like, yeah, of course. I mean, if you take one out of the equation,
I would agree. It probably makes them more attuned to them.
That's right.
Correct. And so if you, and not only that, but you're lacking a sense, so you're having to make up the difference. And in order to do that, you have to enhance your other senses in order to compensate. Otherwise, you're going to be, just useless. Well, and as you mentioned, this isn't an attempt to normalize people with any kind of disability. It's the last thing I want on anybody. And you said that people just say this offhandedly because it makes us feel better. It makes us not feel so bad for the person who is suffering from a disability, which is a horrible, horrible thing. And I believe that you may be correct in that regards.
Right. You, according to the internet, going blind means that you become more attuned to your other senses. So you're not getting, your hearing doesn't get better.
Right.
You just get better at hearing.
Well, and I think the myth is that their hearing gets better to compensate for the blindness.
All right. So
it's the way you're expressing it, right? So
sure,
you're still as good at hearing, but you're better at listening, right? Like you're better at paying attention to it because that's all you have.
Well, actually, so this article actually goes into detail. There's a thing that blind people do, and I've heard about this. I've never actually talked to a blind person who says this is a real thing, but they do the clicking thing. And they are actually
sonar.
Exactly. So they actually do this when they're walking around. And they're actually listening for the echo, and that will tell them how close they are to an object that they're going to walk right into.
You'll have to ask Riley when he shows up. He'll be here, our guy that does the Daily Digest, which, by the way, you can download at freetalklive.com. You go to feeds.freetalklive.com. You can subscribe to a podcast of just the Daily Digest. It's also available in our normal podcast feed. But he's coming, I think, in September.
Did we ever teach him to drive?
I don't think anyone ever was able to do that.
Okay, well, I want to take it up a notch and teach him to fly.
He'll probably love this conversation.
Well, let's go to the phones before we dive too deeply into this article. We've got Jonathan calling from Alabama. Jonathan, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Yeah, what's your opinion on anarchy?
It depends on how you define anarchy. We define it one way. The mainstream media definitely, including Trump and all his cronies and everyone on the other side, they definitely describe anarchy as something that we don't adhere to.
How do you define it, Jonathan?
I define it as a nigger ideology.
Saw that one coming.
Yep. Holding a pen made that very awkward. I should put it down.
Yeah.
So
Well, there
yeah,
it goes.
but as my opinion on anarchy, it is Latin for without rulers, more or less, or anarchos or whatever. I don't know the etymology of the word, but yeah, I love it. Without rulers. I don't need a ruler telling me what I can and can't do.
Yeah, a lot of people get it backwards. They believe that it means no rules. And that, by the way, I will agree that that's not a world that I would want to live in. You go to my house.
There's rules.
There's rules all over the place.
Take your shirt off.
I am, I am the.
Whose house is that?
And the ruler of
Conan.
I am the ruler of my property. Here's the key: you don't have to be there.
That's right.
You can leave. I'm not forcing you to come and take your shirt off. That's just the rules.
You don't allow shirts in your house.
Actually, that's
a joke.
It depends on the
Okay.
it depends on the temperature.
I wouldn't have been surprised from you. So, so let's get into this article then.
So, if you lose one of your senses, do other ones get better to compensate? We all know what the 5 senses that we humans possess: sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. But where do these miraculous powers come from? And this comes from the first paragraph, where he actually brings up Daredevil. You know, he's doing
the comic book
guy. He's blind. He's doing. He's got all these powers that he's able to.
Well, I feel like immediately jumping to like a superhero with superpowers when discussing, what it's like to be disabled is probably not the best move.
Probably not good, but it's, art. Is life, based on art in any way? So where do we get these miraculous powers? Well, that will require a bit of digging into our brains. The human brain is traditionally divided into 6 main areas: the frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal, limbic lobes, and the insular cortex. Our senses of smell and sound are controlled by the temporal lobe, while sight is handled by the occipital lobe. Taste is closely related to smell, and are also affected by the olfactory nerves.
Okay.
Other sections of the brain also impact our senses, such as processing visual cues, temporal lobe, and registering pain from touch.
Right.
Now, the most common senses that are lost are sight and sound, and these are more specifically controlled by the visual and auditory cortex, respectively. It is possible to lose the sense of taste, smell, and touch, but these are much less common.
Mm-hmm.
When we are born, it is important to understand that our brain is still developing, and most of the processing power combined. It is only as we grow up that the individual senses begin to be controlled by independent sensory sectors. The beautiful thing about the brain is its plasticity, and studies have shown that brains of blind infants don't separate into those individual sectors, allowing the visual and auditory cortex to team up and heighten the sensitivity of hearing. So
so if they're young enough and their brain is still developing, it just won't develop that part of the brain that's just for seeing if they're blind?
Correct. The part that controls or is used for seeing will actually begin to shrink, while your hearing and other parts of the brain, your other senses, those parts of the brain will actually increase in size, and they'll begin to team up.
Okay, that's sensible. Have you ever thought about how the brain is the only organ we know of that studies itself?
That studies itself?
Uh-huh.
Is this kind of like Microsoft virus, which is constantly scanning itself to make sure that, or any kind of virus?
Well, what we're doing here is talking about human brains. We are human brains talking about the stuff that we've learned by studying human brains.
Well, that presumes you are the brain.
Well, that's what everything suggests. But I don't believe in souls.
Yeah, well, I don't know what a consciousness is, but I'm not sure if it's actually in the brain. I don't know if that's been proven.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think it has a lot to do with memory. We are, just what we know of ourselves. What we remember from last Thursday is basically what we are.
Yeah, I tend to agree. We're like chemical and electrical reactions.
That's it.
What do you mean that's it? That's beautiful. That's everything. That's the entire universe is chemical and electrical reactions.
A lot of people don't like to hear that.
I think that's boiling it
That's
down
their
a little
ego.
too.
They need to do some shrooms.
It sounds like it's oversimplifying
Whatever
the
you do,
situation.
don't tell your girlfriend that love is nothing but a chemical reaction. She won't like that. The human brain is essentially a computer. So we can easily talk about in terms of processing power. If you lose your sense of sight, for example, the brain will rely on other information sources to make sense of the world around you. Without the visual cortex functioning, blindness, a 2005 study argued that it will actually decrease in size, while other areas of the brain, the auditory cortex and areas handling memories and smell, will actually be larger. If you think that our brain doesn't change and evolve as we move through life, you're wrong. Your brain is highly adept at rewiring itself if it thinks it can function more efficiently.
And can it also like route around some level of damage too?
Yeah, I've heard that. That's for sure. People get shot in the head or something, and they're blind in one eye or whatnot, and before you know it, it's back. So if you lose one sense, do others get stronger? The question. Since you no longer need to use that part of the brain to process as images, more energy and processing power is shifted to the senses of hearing and touch, which will improve your ability to move through the world. For example, as we were talking about before, blind individuals often use a technique called clicking, in which they make small clicking sounds and then interpret the echo they hear to determine the environment around them. This echolocation technique can even allow people to determine specific objects and walk normally without bumping into walls or obstacles. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to is probably so swamped with applicants that he or she is tough to reach. So call early in the day, before 8 a.m., before the palace guards arrive. You'll need your prospect's direct number, and here's a sneaky way to get it. Suppose the company's main number is 555-5000. You should call 555-5012. When someone says, "Good morning, Pam Johnson," you should innocently say, "Oops, somebody here must have written this down wrong. I was calling for Tom Frederick. What's his direct number?" If the very next thing you hear isn't Pam giving you Tom's number, it may be, "Good morning, Tom Frederick." For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. Just visit AnyPayInc.com and set up your account by entering your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes crypto like Bitcoin thanks to AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in to talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. Or like our next few callers, if you want better audio quality, you can use the Discord server, which you can find at discord.freetalklive.com. Now, just as the internet is a global network that connects local networks, Intercoin is a global currency platform that enables communities around the world to issue and manage their own currency to circulate among their local population. Intercoin enables fintech innovation on the local community level, leading to stronger communities, greater sustainability, less poverty, and more productivity. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of the freedoms that have been threatened on the internet and in the real world, and we think that's important here on Free Talk Live. So we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Inc. for advertising. If you also think freedom is important, then check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in the project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. That's intercoin.org, intercoin.org. And let's go to the phones. We got Pizza Cake Man calling. Pizza Cake Man, you're on Free Talk Live.
You didn't use my stage name.
I did not. You are correct.
You're messing up my whole thing.
Okay. Well,
okay. Anyway,
in that case, we have white police officer calling.
Okay.
The reason I'm calling is because this is clearly a ploy. There's a march coming up on August 28th in D.C. They're attempting to get people to not only a march against Trump or a march for black people. I don't know.
I thought they were having it. I thought they called it like the siege or something. The siege on Washington.
I don't know. It's something in 3 days. And they're not just doing it there. They're trying to do it everywhere. And that's what this whole shooting is about. I mean, this guy's clearly he's a creep. He's got a sordid history with the police, and they always pick these losers. You know, they pick people like George Floyd and this guy, these losers as their figureheads for these movements.
Who was
and
they?
It really, they as in the Marxists who run these groups, who fund them, who take these agendas and push them into the media.
Well, I don't think you get to pick the person who gets shot by the police.
You get to pick who the police chooses to, or who the media chooses to acknowledge. That's what you get to pick. And I've seen 15 or 20 videos in the last 3 months of cops shooting or hurting people that were of color and white. And none of those people made the news. But 3 days before, or 4 or 5 days before a planned march in D.C., come on.
Yeah, you are correct about that. We were trying to find the video in one of the breaks, and I just went to LiveLeak, and first I clicked on the first thing from Wisconsin, and shock. It was shocking. And we were like, well, that's not a black guy. What's going on here? You are absolutely correct. And it was just the whole page was nothing but, police shootings that were caught on camera, whether it be body cam or whether it be someone with a phone. Yeah. And we had a hard time finding this particular one because they're happening every day. But
as much as I hate seeing people,
we're only hearing about this
one. They're happening multiple times a day.
Yeah, but we're only hearing about this one for some reason.
Well, because this is an unarmed guy getting shot in the back 7 times.
It is, but check it out. As much as I hate seeing people get shot, there's an even bigger epidemic out there. They're killing our dogs, which in many cases, and mine in particular, that's my family member. That's like my child. I raised it from newborn almost, and it's my child. I don't have a kid, so to me, if you shot my dog, I would hunt you to the ends of the earth. And there's a video I just saw of a guy whose police dog sticks its nose. It's mauled, it has like a face shield or whatever on. And sticks its nose into the fence of somebody's private property, and the dog on the other side of the fence grabs a hold of his face piece, this police dog's face piece, and the instead of controlling his dog, the police officer shoots the other dog in the face. And it's these incidents, yes, and it's out there. You can go look at the video. You can
and when was
Google
this?
The keywords about a month ago, not even that. And so as horrible as this is, they're choosing this video. I hate the cops. Don't get me wrong. I am a anti-police activist. But this is a led situation. The Marxists are trying to get us riled around the idea of this, it's happening again, when it just continues to happen. It's not right or left. It's the state. It's the state actors, the people who call themselves government that are causing this. And those are the ones we need to react to. But instead, we're reacting to crap.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't cuss.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And thanks for the call, Pizza Cake Man, or AKA White Police Officer. I would agree entirely. I mean, the conversation about race, I think, detracts from the actual goal. And I'm not to get all lives matter or anything like that, but police are indiscriminately killing everyone. 558 civilians shot this year. That's more than one a day. That's probably like 3 a day at this point. I don't know what day of the year it is. But these are people, these are males, they're females, they're LGBTQ people, they're white people, they're black people, they're Asians, they're Hispanic. The police are murdering people. They're shooting people.
No, it's a legal taking of life when they do it.
They can call it what they want.
So it's an execution.
I'm going to say they're murdering people because that's how I define murder.
It is. It is. Apparently, this protest, which I had not heard about until that phone call, is happening August 28th. As he said, it is the National Action Network with Reverend Al Sharpton and some others, including Martin Luther King III. They will lead a march to fight for criminal justice reform in solidarity with those who have lost loved ones at the hands of the police. They'll be having speakers from the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, and others. And so, yeah.
And I misspoke. The siege, the Occupy starts of D.C. starts next month on the 17th, and supposedly they're just going to all camp out in the
until the election, right?
Exactly.
50 days. Was it 50 days or something before the election or something like that?
Right
I think
now,
that's what it is. What Conan's talking about is this occupying D.C. They're going to be right in front of the White House.
Yep.
I think it's supposed to last like 50 days before the election.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
They want to.
It's another Occupy movement.
Yeah. They want to really ramp things up right up into the election.
Okay.
And I think some people
camping out.
They're going to be they're going to be protesting peacefully, and I think that some of these people think that they are going to burn the building down.
That would be entertaining.
Yeah, I would have no objections to that. Just make sure the buildings are empty.
Well, the thing with the White House is probably not going to be empty.
Oh, yeah.
And it's already been burned down once, too. So this will be the second time in history.
Well, they're pretty optimistic if they think they're going to be able to get anywhere near it because you're going to be in the belly of the beast, and there's going to be plenty of military and plenty of Secret Service and plenty of Federal Protective Service all over that place. It's going to be a tinderbox.
Yeah, but there can only be so many defenders. I mean, what if 1 million protesters show up?
They're not going to be 1 million.
They'd be trucking these people in all over the place, bussing them in.
They won't hit 1 million. I mean, I'll be blown away if they can,
Ian,
but I don't believe it.
It's 2020.
Anything's
possible.
That's a good point.
So they're doing this. I assume these people are anti-Trump, right?
These are the protesters they're typical
so they're
protesters.
leftists.
Yes.
And they have no issue with assembling into this group in the middle of a pandemic.
No, of course not. These are young people.
It's okay. The pandemic stays away when you go protest.
Yes.
Yeah. That seems to be the argument they're making. This is Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Free Talk Live.
If anybody else wanted to know how to do it, y'all gave them the information, and plus how to get illegal drugs, how to get hand grenades, and I mean, this is a free country, but I don't, but you gave out web addresses, Silk something.
The Silk Road is a revolutionary website that allows people to buy from the black market in a much safer manner than they currently buy, and I'm all about harm reduction, Bob. I think that reducing harm...
This is great for a free country. Let's get everybody on to safer illegal drugs.
Do you think anybody did crack after watching our show that had never done it before?
That's part of your liberty, that because it's okay with a lot of people, let's make sure we have it. Let's keep advertising.
No, I think that it is not my right to tell you what is right or wrong to put in your body, and nor is it your business to tell me what is right or wrong to put in my body or what I'm going to do with my uterus.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in to talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight is Aria, Ian, and Conan. And we're going to get right into the phones. We've got Gene, the Christian anarchist, calling. Gene, you are on Free Talk Live. Gene?
Yeah, I think I'll take... Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was going to take a look at some ancient history tonight. Okay. There was something that happened way back in 2017. It was called a mass shooting in Las Vegas, and this apparently crazy guy shot a bunch of people from the window of one of the casinos, and it was a big deal for a long time. And now we don't hear a thing about it. And guess what? There still has been no official announcement about the motive or the logistics of this horrific event. So it's amazing how...
Did he kill himself or get shot by the police? What was the story with him?
He got shot by a security guard, didn't he?
They say he killed himself.
Okay.
No, they say he killed himself. But I've got my own theory.
What is your theory?
About what really went down in Las Vegas. Well, this guy, there was no motive for this guy to do what he did. He was pretty wealthy. He had a lot of... He wasn't a billionaire or anything, but...
I mean, he had enough money to basically have a room at a Vegas hotel pretty much permanently on reserve.
Yeah.
So he was doing pretty well.
Set. And he had no reason to go and do this kind of thing. And even his girlfriend has never come forward and said anything about, he's a crazy wacko guy or whatever. He did like guns, apparently. And apparently he traded a lot in guns. So what I think is this guy was set up to take this fall. He was probably thought he was doing some kind of a trading deal with somebody and brought all them guns up to that room and showed him his stuff. And then they probably plugged him in the head and shot all those people, and then went down that emergency escape, or not the emergency escape, but just the stairway, because the casinos have the internal stairways, and the stairway was right next to his room.
Now, what is the motive that you ascribe to these people for doing that?
Well, this is an inside job by the powers that be in order to try and get guns taken away from the American people. And one thing that happened after this is, guess who took away the bump stocks?
Trump.
And it wasn't the left. Yeah, it was Trump. So Trump decided, oh, well, we're going to take the bump stocks away, even though it's totally unconstitutional if you believe that the Constitution actually has a meaning or a function. But he still did it, and he did it with an executive signature rather than any kind of legislation. He basically just told the BATF that they're going to reclassify all bump stocks as machine guns, which the BATF has consistently ruled that any kind of a device that requires motion to fire the trigger is not a machine gun, because you're still individually pulling that trigger even though it's being done with some kind of a mechanical assistance. So
right,
just like in the old days, we had a little Gatling gun, little crank thing that you could put on a trigger and just turn this crank, and it would just keep pushing the trigger in and out. And so that was ruled not a machine gun. So
what do you think we don't hear about this anymore? If their plan was to orchestrate this entire thing to take guns away from the American people, I mean, they failed. So
well, they didn't totally fail. They got the bump stocks. Bump stocks are now officially illegal if you have one.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but no serious gun enthusiast uses bump stocks anyway, right? They really only serve one purpose of firing indiscriminately into crowds of people.
There are so many holes in this in this story that I'm thinking that the best way to get away from answering these unknown questions is to basically bury it. I think the powers that be were starting to figure out that a lot wasn't adding up.
How is it that, I'm sorry, look, I'm not an expert on this situation, Gene, but I am looking here online about like what's the timeline of the things that happened. How are you saying the dude got out, or whoever these mystery men were that set this guy up, according to you, got out of the room when it was apparently there is at least the claim is a security guard went to investigate an open door alert, ended up getting blasted through the door. So like he was up there basically the whole time before the shooting even started. I mean, there were people. I mean, it's a Vegas hotel. There's got to be cameras everywhere. How do you just slip out when you're being watched?
Somebody did shoot through that door. Obviously, doesn't necessarily have to be him.
But how did they get out of the room?
As far as the security camera footage, guess what's never been released publicly?
Mm-hmm.
The security camera footage.
Sure.
So yes, the casinos have cameras all over the place. I guarantee you there's footage, but you're never going to see it.
But that's
isn't
still
gonna
a
be
pretty
seen.
big claim to say that you think that there were people in the room with this guy who, or at least one, if not more than one other person, who managed to somehow escape. So was the entirety of the hotel security and every cop that showed up to this also in on this plot? I mean, that's getting pretty ridiculous.
No, of course not. You don't need
How did
many
they get out of
people
the
to
room?
be in on a plot.
If you watch the interview,
turn to your.
But there were people
you
up
walk
there.
out the door and you turn to your right. No, there weren't. Not until the very end. The police didn't show up until pretty much all the shooting had stopped. That's when the police finally showed up there. So anybody who had done that shooting could easily walked out the door, taken a right turn, went right into the stairway, went down how many floors? It doesn't matter. You can go down 3 floors and then get out into that hallway, go to the elevator, go all the way to the bottom. Or you could take the stairway all to the bottom, or you could take the stairway up several floors.
Gene, you don't think the police would
down.
have locked down the stairways and elevators? I'm almost positive that as soon as they got there, they had maintenance shut down the elevators.
No, well, maybe they shut down the elevators. The guy still went down the stairway. The point I'm getting at is their reaction time was so slow that they weren't there until the shooting had stopped. They didn't even know where the shooting was coming from. At any rate, there's nothing to show that this guy had any kind of motive for doing this. The lack of motive.
Do you have to have a motive to be insane?
You have to have evidence that you're insane. You have to have some kind of
there's evidence because he shot 80 people or whatever, 50 people.
Allegedly.
Okay.
The guy was not known for being insane.
Well, no one is until they are insane.
Insanity can come on to somebody. It's not like something you build your whole life towards slowly necessarily.
Well, I'm in favor, Gene. I'm in favor of the gun run sting gone wrong. I think he was selling guns to these people.
Yeah.
And they figured out that
That's probably what happened.
I think that he was probably an agent. They found out that he was working with the CIA or the FBI, and they took him out. And then they're like, "How do we get out of this building?" And they decided
start shooting people.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, that doesn't make sense. You take it,
that makes it impossible to get out of the building.
No. If the gun deal goes bad,
and by the way, if you watch the interview of the security guard, this man, he's cagey. He is not
the security guard.
Oh, he was on Ellen and he couldn't even talk. He was so weird.
Yeah. So this was an inside job. This was not done by him. It was done by some CIA agent or high government agent, maybe somebody that's in a government agency that we've never even heard of.
So the door
did this operation.
So the door that was allegedly barricaded from the inside, that was all a lie, right? The cops are just making that story up about how they had to breach into the room.
Oh, I believe it was barricaded from the inside.
How
initially,
did they escape the room if it was, and then re-barricade it if they'd already killed the man inside?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it was re-barricaded. I don't believe it was re-barricaded.
Okay, so you're saying the police?
How do you know it was re-barricaded?
I don't. That's what I asked you before.
Yeah,
I said,
police lie.
Right, of course they do. So you're saying the police were
shocking news. Police lie.
But not all the police in the Las Vegas Police Department are going to be in on the plot to murder a bunch of people from the whatever story of this hotel it was.
Yeah, and that's a bizarre thing to lie about. And they would have to be in on it for that to happen.
And the odds that they would be in on it are very slim. These are just normal cops.
And the more people you get in on a conspiracy like this, the more chances are for someone's going to leak it. I just don't see it. This is Free Talk Live.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
Attention radio listeners, have you ever wanted to be independent of the utility companies and actually generate your own supply of off-grid electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you'll ever hear. Here's why. A limited number of solar-powered backup generators are back in stock and now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. And unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running silently, secretly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, even keep food from spoiling. Go to mysolarbackup.com to learn more. That's mysolarbackup.com. Supplies are still limited and are available on a first-come, first-served basis only. mysolarbackup.com.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MechTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. If you're quick, you can still get on the air with us. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And we were just reminded of the Vegas shooting that occurred in 2015. Now, I had lived in Vegas previously, and I have friends who are still in Vegas. Some of them reported that they did see other gunmen in other buildings and other hotels.
Your own friends did?
Yes. But they're also crazy. So,
and when you say gunmen, they were just walking around with rifles, or they were actually
dude, I don't
shooting?
remember now. This was like 5 years ago that I talked to them about it. So I don't remember how they exactly characterized it. I just remember the gist of it was that they saw other people with guns in other buildings. So I don't know.
Yeah, they never were able to find, according to the Wikipedia story about this, they were never able to determine a motive for this particular killing. But they did find, allegedly, that he had done certain Google searches.
Didn't they find a bunch of child porn on his brother's computer? An old Windows 97 computer or something?
I by no means have I read through the entirety of this document, but there were some searches that he had run where he was obviously researching the potential to do this. Internet search terms from mid-September of that year included SWAT weapons, ballistic chart 308, SWAT Las Vegas, and do police use explosives? He allegedly had also reserved a room overlooking Lollapalooza in Chicago, but chose to not do anything there, and may have considered other events. He had researched large-scale venues in cities such as Boston since at least May of 2017. So,
hey, you know what? Release the footage. I want to see that camera footage, and I want to see the Pentagon footage too as well. Until then, I don't believe any of this. I don't believe you.
Yeah, I don't know what the truth is.
Well,
But
I mean, why keep the footage hidden?
Yeah.
What's their excuse? I know the Epstein excuse was the camera was off or something, right? What about these cameras?
Who knows? Anyway, let's go to the phones. We've got Poop Ant calling via Discord.free. Hey, what's on your mind?
Right, so I'm thinking of quite a lighter topic, not something to do with mass shootings, more of a philosophical sort of thing. Like, what defines art? You see, because there's so many forms of art. There's music, there's film, there's actual art, there's modeling, blah blah blah. There's so many.
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
Yes. Well, you can say that, but what makes an art? What are the fundamental?
I think generally it's creativity to some extent, right? Like an individual using their creativity to express themselves or a thing in some way that hopefully will connect with an audience.
So for you three, give me sort of an art that you don't think is like a mainstream art that you're interested in, or something that you see as an art.
It's an interesting question. So something that we see as art that maybe other people wouldn't see as art? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yeah, that is I would have to pontificate on that for several hours before I could come up with an answer.
I'd like to say thank you for not saying that.
I think I think there's a lot of video games out there that are art that are art that people don't necessarily think video games are art.
I think a ton of people would though think that video games are art. I mean, I
think that group is growing. But I mean,
video games make more money than. Hold on, man. Video games make more money than Hollywood movies do now. I mean, it's clearly an established art form.
Yep. Well, but I don't necessarily think
Fortnite, $4 billion alone on Fortnite.
Dude, they have the money now to sue Apple and Google.
Listen, no, people see it as a game. They see it as a competition.
Maybe
they see
your
it as
mom and dad.
They see it as an escape. I don't think they actually sat down. They're going to sit down on the porch and think about what they just did of playing Fortnite and be, hey, this is an art form.
Maybe not all of them do.
You see, that's I'm going to have to say that I don't personally agree with that, because when I play, not necessarily a game of Fortnite, but any game in general, when I'm playing it, I'll be like, wow, that's amazing, because each pixel in there is multiple lines of code. It's a different language that barely anyone can communicate.
And there's different forms of art that come together to form the final piece, right? So there's the artwork. The actual art, right? Like somebody they do whatever the pixel art is of the characters in a 2D game, or they couldn't. Yeah, hit the mute there because there's a lot of chatting going on in the background. But it was a good question.
It was.
So you've got the art of the music that goes into the game and how that ties into whatever drama and action is unfolding.
Right. Well, you make an excellent point. A video game is a compilation of all of these different types of art forms.
Correct.
So almost by definition, it would be art.
And artists all compiling their work together to create something. And by the way, not all video games can be what you might say high art. Some of them are just stupid. Some of it's just not worth it at all.
I mean, you got your Mortal Kombat and stuff,
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion about what they consider
actually
good.
Mortal Kombat 1, beautiful game. By the way, I was just watching. There's a Netflix documentary called High Score, and there's like 5 or 6 episodes, and it basically starts with the Atari 2600, and moves all the way up until Doom.
Nice. Well, Poopette, thank you so much for the call.
Yes, a surprisingly coherent call for somebody who just joined the Discord.
And another thing,
I expected the worst through the entire
Another
call.
distinction I want to really make when it comes to art is art versus craft. For example, I consider myself a craftsman, and sometimes I will actually create some art, but I really value high aesthetic the values of form and whatnot. Whereas nowadays, when you come and deal with a lot of the abstract artists, the splatter painters and whatnot, it's what is that and why? It is art because it's all in the eye of the beholder, and you can basically call whatever you want art if you want to, but good craftsmanship can be actually categorized. You can actually judge and put a stamp of approval or whatnot, or a stamp of disapproval.
Is a craftsman not an artist? I mean, it would seem to be similar.
It's all about the values. What do you value? Is it something that is craftsmanship is usually something you can use that has utility. It's something that's actually creating function. Whereas
can art have function?
It can. Art can be craftsmanship as well, and vice versa. But
not always.
But art can always be. Art could be just me taking my feces, writing "capitalism sucks" on the wall and sprinkling glitter on it, and I could say that's art.
You could say
and
that.
No one can argue with me. But I can't take some ferns or whatnot down by the river and fashion myself a nice little basket that has a hole in the bottom of it and call that a good basket. Everyone can say, nope, that's not good craftsmanship.
Well, people can also say that your poop on the wall isn't good art.
They can say whatever they want.
Well, no, they can't say. They can't say that it's not good because it's all in the eye of the beholder.
They are the beholder.
They can say that. They can say
whatever this is not good art.
Well, you can have your opinion, but as far as the definition of art, you can't really say art is good or bad.
Well, of course
you
can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Anyone can say that.
You can categorize it.
I can say it. I can say it if I want to, and you can't stop me.
I'm talking about when you are actually evaluating art as defined by the definition of art. Let's look it up. Do we have time?
I'm not going to say it's not art, but I'm going to say it's not
crap.
Good art.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everybody's got their opinion, and to somebody, something that is really routine and pedestrian or whatever is really wonderful, and to another person, they have the opposite opinion.
I mean, there are literally careers of people who are paid to say whether or not a specific piece of art is good or bad.
Sure, and art can be found in a lot of different places. I mean, it could just simply be the way your food is arranged on a plate, right? Good. Oh, that's got good presentation.
A good chef is probably a good artist when it comes to their food.
And that's when, and I would start to say that you are leaning more towards craft, good craftsmanship. The actual arrangement of that is pleasing.
But it doesn't
to the
improve the taste of the food. To go back to your basket example, say it's a hideous, grotesque, ugly basket.
Yep.
But it works.
And by the way, the first step to good tasting food is presentation. So yes, it does make that food taste better. The same way beer tastes better in a nice cold glass and not in the can. It's all about presentation. So yes, that's part of the craft. That's part of the skill involved in.
So your argument is that a pretty basket is more useful than an ugly basket?
I don't know what he's saying.
When it comes to food, yes.
I don't know. Are you saying crafts are or not art?
Yes, they are, but they don't have to be. It could be just that. It could be a useful basket.
Does it matter what the creator intended? Meaning, if the creator created the basket with the intention of it being art, is it then art? And it's not art if the creator doesn't think that it was?
There are lots of potters out there who do pottery, and they really never intend for that pottery to ever be useful as holding liquid. It's just, and a lot of times it won't because they did glaze it in such a way that the water will just go right through it like a sponge. But they put all kinds of pretty designs on it and whatnot, and they use their imagination to put it together, and it means something to them. And so they just, it's like you said, eye of the beholder.
I wish we had more time to discuss this, but unfortunately we don't. This has been Free Talk Live.
Thanks, Poop Ant.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is a Fox News alert underway. I'm Lisa Lacera. Night 2 of the Republican National Convention, with several people close to the president delivering speeches, including his wife.
First Lady Melania Trump will speak tonight from her newly redesigned Rose Garden, a sales pitch to women voters on giving her husband a second term, and some highlights from her first 3.5 years. The setting of the White House is controversial, but according to the Government Office of Special Counsel, absolutely legal, though staff have to adhere to strict guidelines to avoid violations of the Hatch Act prohibiting political activities while on duty.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will also address the convention via recorded remarks from Jerusalem, the first time in modern times a sitting Secretary of State has done so. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called it appalling. Also tonight, the president announcing he's pardoning John Ponder, a Nevada bank robber who led a program that helps former prisoners re-enter society.
John's life is a beautiful testament to the power of redemption.
The White House released video of the announcement by the president earlier today. One of President Trump's top issues throughout his presidency has been criminal justice reform. Hurricane Laura bearing down on the Gulf Coast is expected to reach Category 3 status by the time it makes landfall late Wednesday or early Thursday.